When we visited my mother-in-law for the Mid-Autumn Festival, she gave my elder brother-in-law and his wife generous red envelopes, but only handed me a few boxes of mooncakes. Not only were the mooncakes unregulated products with no proper labeling, they were also long past their expiration date, yet my mother-in-law claimed they came with gold bars as prizes, but to my surprise, I actually discovered gold bars inside the mooncakes, with gold prices skyrocketing. The 300-gram gold bar allowed me to pay in full for the car my husband had been eyeing. The new car made a great impression on my husband's client, helping him land a multi-million-dollar deal and get promoted to manager. Later, I drove my great-aunt to the hospital when she fell ill in the middle of the night and ended up inheriting her fortune, achieving complete financial freedom, when my sister-in-law found out. She was so furious that she rushed to the mooncake shop that very night to steal some, but she accidentally knocked over a decorative lantern, causing a fire that burned down the shop and left her facing massive compensation costs. She blamed her mother-in-law for giving me the mooncakes, so she lured me back to poison our entire family. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the Mid-Autumn Festival when my mother-in-law was handing out gifts, as usual. My mother-in-law brought out a thick red envelope and several boxes of mooncakes. The red envelope went to my sister-in-law, and the mooncakes to me, but this time, my sister-in-law beat me to it and lunged forward first. "Mom, you can give the red envelope to my sister-in-law. I love mooncakes, so these boxes are mine." Seeing the familiar mooncake gift boxes before me, I finally believed it. I had truly been reborn. The same shoddy packaging, the same unregulated products, with that exaggerated slogan printed on them, "Buy mooncakes, get gold bars." The sister-in-law joyfully hugged the mooncake box, but her mother-in-law swiftly snatched it away. "No, these mooncakes are for the second son's family. You can't have them." The sister-in-law's face immediately darkened with displeasure. "Mom, it's just a few boxes of mooncakes. You're willing to give them to the second son's family but not to us. You're playing favorites." The mother-in-law pleaded with her daughter-in-law anxiously and helplessly. "Listen to me, give the mooncakes to your sister-in-law, and you take the red envelope." But the daughter-in-law was determined to have the mooncakes, and no matter how much the mother-in-law tried to persuade her, she insisted on having them. "I want these boxes of mooncakes, and no one is going to take them from me. Once I get my hands on these mooncake boxes, I'll have everything I've ever wanted in my past life." My sister-in-law mocked me for only receiving these shabby mooncakes, but now she's desperately trying to snatch them from me. It seems she's been reborn just like me. She wants to get the gold bars hidden inside the mooncakes, just like I did, but she had no idea that what I'd gained wasn't because of a few boxes of mooncakes. "Sis, are you really giving up the big red envelope for mooncakes?" I asked. "Absolutely. I won't regret it for a second." My sister-in-law was utterly certain, her eyes holding an unmistakable glint of triumph as she looked at me. "Fine, let my sister-in-law have the mooncakes. I never cared for them anyway." My mother-in-law shot me a glare, clearly displeased. I pretended not to notice and took the red envelope directly. She's always favored my elder brother and his wife, and the cash gift was quite generous. Meanwhile, my sister-in-law gleefully accepted those unregulated mooncake boxes, thinking she'd scored a great deal. In my previous life, I did buy my dream car outright, but the money actually came from my husband's bonus. Since my mother-in-law always pressured my husband to support his older brother, we kept this money secret and finally bought the car we'd always wanted. There was no way to hide such a big purchase, so I just claimed I'd found a gold bar inside a mooncake. Perfect way to annoy my biased mother-in-law. Coincidentally, my husband ran into my sister-in-law while driving to meet his important client, Mr. Charles. When she heard Mr. Charles compliment my husband's new car as an excellent and tasteful choice, she turned green with envy, and when Mr. Charles signed the contract with my husband on the spot, it only reinforced her belief that he had secured the deal because of the car. But in reality, landing such a major order is never that simple. My husband pulled countless all-nighters and drafted numerous proposals for this deal. No one knows how much effort he truly put in after landing this order. His promotion was a given, but honestly, he's always been a hard worker with stellar results, so the promotion was just the natural next step. Not long after, his great-aunt had a medical emergency in the middle of the night, and I was the one who rushed her to the hospital. My grand-aunt had no children, so she left me her house and savings before passing away. My sister-in-law was so resentful that she caused a scene at the funeral. But she didn't know that I had been taking care of my grandaunt the whole time after she fell ill. I had always been deeply concerned about my grandaunt's well-being, which is why I was able to get her to the hospital promptly when she had the attack. My great-aunt left me her inheritance because she saw the genuine care in my heart, but my sister-in-law assumed I'd just gotten lucky by buying a car with gold bars hidden in mooncakes. She even went so far as to steal mooncakes from a bakery over this. It ended in disaster when she lit a lantern for light, causing extensive damage. Facing massive compensation claims, she refused to accept any blame, instead directing her resentment toward everyone around her. She blamed me for taking the mooncakes, accused her mother-in-law of favoring me by giving them to me, resented my husband for being more accomplished than hers, and faulted her own husband for being incompetent. So she poisoned our food, intending to kill us all outright. At that thought, a chill ran down my spine. To poison so many people over such a trivial matter, my sister-in-law is even more obsessive and ruthless than I imagined. We're here, get out. My sister-in-law's voice snapped me back to reality. Since my husband was away on business, I had come to my mother-in-law's house with my sister-in-law, so I rode back in her car. Little did she expect to pull up right in front of a car dealership. A salesperson promptly came out to greet her with warm enthusiasm. The woman tossed her handbag over and strutted inside with an air of importance. After a casual glance around the showroom, she pointed directly at a brand new vehicle. "I'll take this car." The salesperson immediately broke into a delighted smile. "The full price for this car is over $400,000. Will you be paying in full or with a payment plan?" "Ma'am, cash, of course." My sister-in-law slapped a bank card on the counter with unflinching confidence. "I don't have that much on me. Here's 20,000 as a deposit for now." "Sis, are you sure about buying this car?" I was taken aback. The car she picked was way more expensive than the one I had chosen. "Of course, why else would I be here?" "Lucy, do you think I can't afford this?" My sister-in-law shot me a disapproving glance. My heart skipped a beat and I quickly shook my head. A good car makes it easier for my husband to handle business. Once he lands a major deal, we'll be living the good life. Don't think your second son is the only one with a good job. Just wait. My husband will be getting a promotion and raise soon. My older brother has always been lazy and shows no ambition at work, driving a car worth $400,000 or $500,000 just to discuss business, with a monthly salary of $3,000. That's hardly necessary. My sister-in-law doesn't work either, and she still relies on her mother-in-law for financial support. That 20,000 yuan is probably her entire life savings, but I'm not going to say any of this out loud. I just want to keep my distance from that viper of a sister-in-law, so she doesn't blame me every time something doesn't go her way. Take your time looking around. Sis, I've got things to attend to, so I won't join you for the test drive. Fresh from signing the car purchase contract, my sister-in-law was brimming with self-satisfaction and waved me off impatiently. "Go on then, don't tell me you're expecting a ride from me too." I quickly hailed a cab and made my exit. In my previous life, to help my husband secure a meeting with Mr. Charles, I often accompanied his wife on shopping trips. This time, following the same pattern, I ran into Charles's wife at the mall just as expected. "Isn't this Mrs. Charles? I'm Lucy. My husband Leo has told me how much he's benefited from Mr. Charles's support. You have such great taste, Mrs. Charles. This dress really complements your skin tone, and adding a shawl would perfectly highlight your elegance." Mrs. Charles couldn't help but smile at my compliment. "Really? Then help me pick out a suitable shawl. I'd like to try it on." Once again, I managed to secure an opportunity for my husband, and my husband lived up to my expectations. The proposal he presented won Mr. Charles's approval, and they successfully signed the contract. Before long, my husband came home with news of his promotion. "Honey, I got promoted, and my salary doubled." "That's wonderful news. Congratulations, sweetheart." A huge weight lifted from my shoulders. I always knew my husband would get that promotion, but seeing his hard work pay off still makes me incredibly happy. "Honey, I owe all my success at work to your support. This achievement is really yours. Don't be silly. You earned this entirely on your own merit. You're amazing at what you do." My husband suddenly let out a sigh. "Mom asked me for money again just now. I deliberately told her I needed to buy a car and was still short by tens of thousands, and she immediately hung up. When my older brother bought a house and a car, she gave him money without a second thought, but she won't even lend me a few thousand. From now on, I'm done with her affairs. I'll hand over all my salary and bonuses to you, and I promise to give you a better life." I was so happy I could cry. And I finally felt a weight lift off my chest. After hanging up the phone, I finally noticed the family group chat had exploded with messages. "Arwen and her husband are killing it. They actually bought such a nice car and pay for it in full. Everyone always says your second child has a great job, but I think the eldest son's family is the one really making it big." My heart skipped a beat. Did my sister-in-law actually manage to get that car? I quickly opened my sister-in-law's social media feed, and sure enough, there she was, posting a 9-grid collage showing off photos of herself with the car. All the comments underneath were relatives fawning over her. They used to look down on the couple for being lazy and shiftless, but this time she's finally holding her head high. But I just can't figure out, where did she get the money? Could it be that I missed out on a gold bar in my past life because I didn't eat mooncakes? Did she actually find a gold bar in her mooncake? I told my husband about this. My husband was also curious and decided to ask his older brother. His phone rang again moments later. My brother said there were no gold bars in the mooncakes at all, and he was furious, saying the mooncakes had gone bad and were completely inedible. My confusion only deepened. If there were no gold bars in the mooncakes, then how did my sister-in-law get the money to buy a car outright? Curious as I was, I didn't ask her directly. I didn't want to have much contact with someone so paranoid. Little did I expect that she would reach out to me before I contacted her. Sis, it's our great aunt's birthday today. I've arranged a banquet for her. Why don't you come join us? And his family elder, skipping her birthday would be disrespectful. I was surprised. Aunt never enjoys crowds. Why would she agree to a birthday banquet? Something felt off about this situation. But of course I'll attend Aunt's birthday celebration. When I arrived, I was shocked to find out my sister-in-law had booked a 5-star hotel. She even invited every random relative under the sun, must have set up at least 15 to 20 tables. This kind of extravagance must have cost a fortune, since when is she so free with her money? Did she actually strike it rich? The moment I stepped out of the car, my mother-in-law started scolding me relentlessly. Lucy, you're so full of yourself. Making your elders wait for you. Your sister-in-law knows how to respect her elders. Why can't you be more like her? Before I could even explain, someone hurried me inside. In the private room, the eldest sister-in-law sat at the head of the table arm in arm with the grandaunt, looking as close as mother and daughter. Sister-in-law, you're late for grandaunt's birthday. Don't blame me for not saving you a seat. How dare you dress so shabbily for a place like this? You might as well take a bowl and eat by the roadside. That would suit a pauper like you better. The crowd burst into laughter. I can't be bothered with them. I just want to say hello to my great aunt and leave. Oh dear, you're not upset, are you? I was only joking. I'd never let you go without a seat. At most, we'll just set up another table. The cost of a whole banquet table doesn't even compare to one of my outfits. The sister-in-law smoothed her clothes, deliberately showing off the prominent designer logo. The relatives once again showered her with compliments. Arwen has such refined taste. Everything she's wearing looks so expensive. That bag is a designer piece, isn't it? Last time I saw one, it cost tens of thousands. Only Arwen could afford something like that. Though inwardly delighted by the praise, sister-in-law pretended to be modest. It's not that expensive, just a few thousand for something to wear casually. My husband only knows how to work hard and make money. Unlike second brother, everyone knows he's highly educated and has a great job. All the relatives turned their eyes to me, and seeing how plainly I was dressed, they started mocking me without holding back. They're nowhere near as accomplished as you, Arwen. I heard they even had to borrow money from their parents just to buy a car. Exactly. Thought you were so impressive. Without Arwen treating us, you probably couldn't even afford to eat here. My sister-in-law snatched the bag right out of my hands. I was furious. What do you think you're doing? I tried to rush forward, but someone held me back. My sister-in-law snatched my bag and shook it upside down, sending everything inside clattering to the floor. She even kicked my scattered belongings disdainfully, a mocking smirk on her face. Is this the kind of junk you bring for our great aunt's birthday? I'm the one who organized this magnificent celebration. Now she'll finally see who truly deserves to be treated like a daughter. The mother-in-law shot a knowing look at the sister-in-law. She pressed the aunt's shoulders, forcing her to sit down in the chair. Filial piety is what matters most in young people. Lucy didn't even bring a gift. She's nowhere near as good as Arwen. Since you don't have children anyway, let Arwen take care of you in your old age and handle your funeral arrangements. That way, your estate will have someone to inherit it. So that's their game. Perfect timing with all the relatives here. Let me offer great aunt a cup of tea. From now on, I'll be great aunt's successor. The sister-in-law forcibly shoved the teacup into Great Aunt's hands. Great Aunt's hands trembled as she tried to refuse, but the scalding tea ended up splashing all over her. Auntie never agreed to this. Who gave you the right to make decisions on your own? I rushed forward to help Auntie wipe the spilled tea off her clothes. Lucy, get the hell away from her. My sister-in-law shoved me hard. I slumped to the floor, but my sister-in-law pointed at me and started yelling, Lucy, you little bitch, stop trying to act all cute and innocent here. I bet you're just trying to suck up to Auntie so you can inherit her estate. Hearing this, all the relatives started pointing fingers at me. My mother-in-law also took the opportunity to put me down. The second son's wife has always been a schemer, unlike the eldest son and his wife who are honest and decent people. When the second son couldn't get his hands on my life savings, he set his sights on your great aunt instead. What a disgrace to our family. Her blatant favoritism toward my sister-in-law made my blood run cold, but what infuriated me even more was how they treated my great aunt. I shoved them aside angrily and studied Auntie. Do you think I'm like you, calculating every move? I just can't stand watching you bully an elderly woman. Can't you see Auntie isn't feeling well? Instead of being offended by my outburst, my sister-in-law's eyes lit up with delight. In her excitement, she dropped her bag and threw her arms around her great aunt. Are you having an episode? I'll take you to the best hospital right away. I'll make sure you go out in style. This is all out of my deep filial devotion. You'd better remember that. And when there's something good coming, think of me first. Her great aunt stumbled along as she was dragged by the arm. She raised her cane and struck her sister-in-law with a vicious blow. I'm not going anywhere. I want to go home. The sister-in-law shrieked in pain, glaring at her aunt with a face like thunder. "Auntie, I only have your best interests at heart. Don't be ungrateful when you're already knocking on death's door. Sis, how could you speak to Auntie like that?" Auntie patted my arm to calm me down. When the mother-in-law tried to approach, the grandaunt drove her away with a stick. "I told you I didn't want a banquet, yet you tricked me into coming. From now on, you're no longer my juniors. I know exactly what you're scheming. I've already made my will, so don't waste your efforts." The sister-in-law's face turned pale. She shook her great-aunt violently, her eyes burning with resentment. "You old hag, who did you leave the inheritance to? How dare you give our money away? Was it Lucy? I was the one who treated you well this time. Why won't you give it to me? Why, great-aunt can leave her possessions to whoever she wants. Some things just can't be calculated." Seeing my great-aunt looked unwell, I immediately tried to soothe her. "Great-aunt, please don't be upset. Let me take you home. Lucy, you've got such incredible luck. Why does everyone treat you so well? Why do you get all the good things?" My sister-in-law blocked my way, her resentful gaze sending chills down my spine. My mother-in-law always says my sister-in-law is honest and straightforward, with no hidden agendas. But I've personally experienced her viciousness. I recoiled in horror, wanting to get my great-aunt out of there immediately. "After all the trouble I went through to host this banquet, you're just going to leave?" My sister-in-law blocked my path, a sinister smile playing on her lips. She picked up a bottle of Matai, poured a glass, and slid it toward me. "Finish this bottle, and we'll consider the matter settled. Otherwise, you're not going anywhere." A chill ran down my spine. "Are you insane? This is Baijiu with over 50% alcohol content." My refusal really pissed off my sister-in-law. She actually grabbed me by the hair and slammed my head against the table. "When I tell you to drink, you drink. You should be grateful I'm letting a broke ass like you taste this fine liquor, and you dare refuse." The relatives acted completely indifferent, as if it had nothing to do with them, to curry favor with the sister-in-law. Some even chimed in from the sidelines. "Come on, Lucy, just drink it. It's such fine liquor, you won't regret having some." "Exactly, since Arwen and her husband have made it big. Just swallow your pride. Who knows, they might even give you a leg up." My mother-in-law just stood by indifferently, while my great-aunt was the only one frantic to help me. But then sister-in-law shoved me, and I blacked out. "Arwen," I grabbed the wine glass and splashed the drink right in her face. "If anything happens to my great-aunt, you'll pay for it." My great-aunt was rushed to the hospital. She was already in poor health to begin with. The shock made her condition take a sharp turn for the worse. I wanted to call the police to make Arwen face consequences, but my great-aunt told me to let it go. I stayed with my great-aunt until she drew her last breath. I had just finished with the paperwork when my husband suddenly called. "Honey, we have a problem. There's something wrong with the house. You need to come back right now." My heart skipped a beat and I rushed over immediately. It was only later that I finally discovered where my sister-in-law's money actually came from. I hurried back home in no time. My husband was sitting on the couch with a grim expression on his face. His face instantly fell into a pitiful expression when he saw me. "Honey, we've lost the house. All the money I've worked so hard for over the years, it's all gone." My heart sank with shock, and seeing the documents on the coffee table made me feel like I'd been plunged into an ice cellar. The homeowner's name on the documents stared back at me. The house belonged to someone else now. Did Mom sell the house? Where's the money? What happened to the proceeds from the sale? Our house was purchased by my husband before we got married, at my mother-in-law's request. We put the property under her name back then. Later, when my husband realized how biased his mother was, he insisted we transfer the house to our names. Surprisingly, she agreed to it without any hesitation this time. To change the ownership details, we had no choice but to pay off the entire mortgage early. We ended up spending all our savings on this. Today was supposed to be the day we finalized the property transfer. While gathering the documents, my husband discovered our house had already been sold. My husband slammed his hand on the coffee table with a loud crash. "The house is sold. Where's the money? With that much cash, you'd better hand it over today." My mother-in-law was startled, a flicker of guilt flashing in her eyes, but she immediately stood up and started yelling at her husband. "It's just an apartment. Why are you taking your anger out on me? After all the years I've spent raising you, selling you one apartment is nothing." I scoffed inwardly, thinking how many people work their whole lives just to afford a home. With one careless remark, my mother-in-law completely dismissed years of hard work my husband and I had put in. "Mom, this is no small amount of money. Where did the money actually go? You owe us an explanation." My mother-in-law stammered, avoiding eye contact. My heart sank again. I feared the money was no longer in her possession. Considering how recklessly my sister-in-law has been spending lately, I started putting two and two together. Seeing that we weren't backing down, my mother-in-law flung the door open and plopped down on the floor. She started wailing and carrying on. "Someone come quick. My daughter-in-law is trying to drive me to my grave. You lost your money, and now you're squeezing an old woman for it. I might as well just die." The commotion drew the neighbors. who came rushing over to see what was going on. Hearing the old woman's sobbing complaints, they assumed we were pressuring her for money and started blaming us. How shameless can you be? Grown adults still leeching off your parents. What is the world coming to? How could anyone accuse their own mother of such things? No mother would ever covet her own son's money. I watched the situation escalate, realizing my explanations were only making things more muddled. So I just joined my mother-in-law in crying. This is all a misunderstanding. She's my husband's birth mother. Why would we ever blame her? But my elderly mother-in-law lost over $1 million from selling her house. She must have been scammed. Hearing that an elderly person might have been scammed, the neighbor immediately changed their attitude. Scammers are the worst. They specifically target seniors. If you encounter fraud, you must report it to the police immediately. My mother-in-law froze, flustered as she frantically refused to call the police. And no, it's not a scam. We can't involve the police. This is a family matter. Stay out of it. I turned to the neighbors with a helpless look, seeking their assistance. You see, this is exactly how my mother-in-law is. She's far too trusting of scammers. Tell me, as her children, how could we not worry? How could we just stand by and watch her get swindled? Elderly folks can be so stubborn, they just refuse to believe they've been deceived. We have to help her. It's not like it's just pocket change we're talking about. This really hits home for everyone. Despite the mother-in-law's strong objections, everyone chimed in and called the police. Thank you all. I wouldn't have known what to do without you. When we get the money back, I'm sure my mother-in-law will be grateful to everyone too. My mother-in-law couldn't contain everyone's enthusiasm. And our group quickly arrived at the police station. The police immediately traced the money's whereabouts upon hearing it involved fraud. Sure enough, the money went to my sister-in-law. Seeing this outcome, my mother-in-law instantly changed her story. I gave this money willingly. It's my money, and I have every right to decide who I give it to. The officer looked at me with an uneasy expression. This seems like a domestic matter. Wouldn't it be better to resolve this privately? I presented the documents proving my husband had funded the house purchase and mortgage payments. This is my husband's house. Why would the money go to my sister-in-law? I can't believe my mother-in-law would play favorites like this. Officer, I suspect my mother-in-law was also deceived by my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law was immediately summoned to the police station. The moment she saw me, she started yelling angrily. What's wrong with mom giving me her money? Why call the police, Lucy? You just can't stand to see me happy, can you? My husband shielded me behind him, glaring coldly at my sister-in-law and mother-in-law. This is my house. Mom has no right to sell it. Either return the house to us, or hand over the money from the sale. Otherwise, I'll take you to court. Please, don't sue. Seeing her husband was truly furious, the mother-in-law panicked and could only look to the sister-in-law for help. Arwen, is that money? Is it still there? The sister-in-law shrugged helplessly. The money's gone. It all went toward my husband's medical treatment. My husband and I exchanged puzzled looks. We hadn't heard anything about his brother being ill. His wife then pulled out the hospital medical report. Turns out he was actually hospitalized due to food poisoning from eating mooncakes. It turns out that the sister-in-law thought mooncakes that could yield gold bars must be a real delicacy, so she forced the elder brother to eat them all. In the end, no gold bars were found, and the elder brother ended up in the hospital with food poisoning. What's worse, he ate so much that it led to kidney failure, requiring a transplant. The expired mooncakes were given by the mother-in-law, who knew she was in the wrong and wore a guilty, mournful expression. I sold the house to pay for your eldest brother's kidney transplant. Brothers are like limbs. Is a house really more important than your brother's life? Something still felt off to me. Your mother-in-law gave you money for the kidney transplant, so did your brother actually get the operation? Even a kidney transplant wouldn't cost this much. Where did the rest of the money go? The police immediately pulled up the sister-in-law's bank statements. When the bills were laid out, everyone realized she had been burning through money like there was no tomorrow. She bought piles of luxury goods and indulged in all sorts of extravagant spending. As for our eldest brother, he never even got the kidney transplant. We still owe the hospital for his medical bills. That's when my mother-in-law couldn't take it anymore. Didn't you promise to get our eldest the best kidney money could buy once we sold the house? I gave you all that money. Tell me the truth. Did you actually spend any of it on your brother's treatment? His sister-in-law pursed her lips and retorted defiantly, what's the point of a man whose kidneys have failed? He's useless now. Why waste all that money on a lost cause? We'd be better off using it to improve our own lives. The mother-in-law sprang up in a rage and throttled her neck violently. Her eyes bulged with fury, wishing she could strangle her then and there. What about my son? Didn't the doctor say he would die without a kidney transplant? Are you trying to kill him? Don't be rash. Our top priority is to get the money back. The police pulled the elderly woman away. At the same time, he sternly warned the sister-in-law, this is fraud, and with such a large amount, the consequences are extremely serious. Confess everything now, or you'll be prosecuted and face prison time." Only then, frightened by the threat, did the woman finally panic. She then covered her neck and confessed the whole truth. "He's completely useless now. Is it wrong for me to think about my own future, after all these years married to him? I never had a single good day. You owe me compensation. This is my money, why should I give it to you?" My husband was absolutely furious. "I've never seen someone so shameless in my life. I'm going to sue you. If you don't pay back the money, you'll be going to jail." Sister-in-law finally got scared. She immediately softened her tone and begged us for mercy. "Second brother, sister-in-law, we're family. Can you please let me off just this once? Your eldest brother is still lying in the hospital waiting for my care. How could you bear to see me go to jail? I have no qualms about this. She showed no remorse when she poisoned me. I'd be thrilled to see her locked up right now, preferably forever, so she can't harm anyone else. If you don't repay the money, you'll rot in jail." My husband and I are on the same page. My mother-in-law changed her attitude after learning that she didn't care about my elder brother's well-being. I wish I could just strangle her. "You're so heartless." "Fine, I'll pay you back. Will that make you happy?" My husband and I then received the repayment from my sister-in-law. Meanwhile, relatives kept complaining to me in the family group chat. "I heard Arwen stole your money to show off. I actually thought she'd made it big, but it was all a sham. She's the one who said we didn't need to give cash gifts in the first place, and now she's calling everyone one by one demanding we pay up." My mother-in-law called me in tears too. "Your sister-in-law is absolutely heartless. She just abandoned your eldest brother at the hospital and washed her hands of him. You two are the only responsible ones in the family. Your eldest brother and I will have to depend on you from now on." I hung up on my mother-in-law. I also left the family group chat. Nothing but a bunch of two-faced opportunists. Disgusting. After that, my sister-in-law dropped off the radar for a while. But then, while my husband was away on a business trip, she suddenly called me out of the blue. "Sis, could you come out for a moment? I need to talk to you about something." What could she possibly want from me? My internal alarm bells started ringing, and I firmly decided not to open the door. "Whatever it is, we can discuss it over the phone. Let's talk face to face. Open the door. I know you're home. I'm right outside your door right now." I jolted awake, scrambled out of bed and rushed to the door. Thank goodness the door was still securely locked. A thunderous knock suddenly echoed through the door. In the dead of night, the sound was utterly terrifying. My blood ran cold. I peered through the peephole. Just as I feared, my sister-in-law was standing right outside the door. She was completely alone. She seemed to be holding a bottle, deliberately hiding it with her sleeve. It looked very suspicious. I could tell she was up to no good, and swallowed nervously in fear. "What exactly did you need to see me about, ma'am? What's that in your hand? Don't tell me you're here to give me a gift." The sister-in-law outside the door flashed an eerie smile and waved the wine bottle in her hand at me. "We're sisters-in-law. After all, can't we just catch up for old time's sake? I came specifically to have a couple drinks with you. Consider it my apology for what happened before." "I don't believe a single word she says. Was that really just wine? Open the door. You'll see what amazing thing I brought you. I guarantee it'll be an experience you'll never forget, a memory that will last a lifetime." I was utterly terrified. Am I still doomed to meet the same fate as my previous life, being poisoned to death? I couldn't take it anymore and confronted her directly. "Are you trying to poison me? What did I ever do to you? Why are you doing this to me?" My sister-in-law didn't deny it. Instead, she glared at me through the surveillance camera with venom in her eyes. "You actually figured it out. If you hadn't forced me to repay the money, would I have sunk to this level? This is all your fault. You brought this on yourself with your greed and vanity. You squandered other people's money. Of course there are consequences. What does that have to do with me? I've already called the police. All I can do now is try to stall and buy some time. I'm convinced she can't do a thing to me as long as I stay inside. You think you're so special. You're just riding on your husband's coattails. We're both daughters-in-law in this family. Why do you get to live the good life? I'll make sure you pay for this." My sister-in-law kept pounding on the door while shouting. He paced back and forth outside my door like a raving lunatic when I refused to open it. "Lucy, I'll wait right here for as long as it takes. If you don't come out today, I'll be here all day, as long as I'm around. Don't even think about having a moment's peace." I felt completely suffocated and just wanted to get away from her as quickly as possible. Fortunately, the police arrived quickly and took her away. Tests confirmed that the wine she brought contained a lethal poison. She really was trying to poison me, just like in my previous life, but since no actual harm was done, she was released shortly after. Just to be safe, I decided to move out immediately. Then I got a call from the police station. "Arwen is dead." I went to the police station, completely bewildered. I just found out that my brother-in-law's health has been deteriorating ever since my mother-in-law called me last time. My mother-in-law blamed my sister-in-law for delaying the kidney transplant and forced her to donate a kidney to him. Of course, my sister-in-law refused, even saying it would be better if he died so she could extort a large compensation from the hospital. In a fit of rage, my mother-in-law stabbed her multiple times with a fruit knife. As fate would have it, it was the knife wound to her kidney that caused my sister-in-law to pass away so quickly. After her death, my mother-in-law was arrested for intentional homicide before being taken away. She tearfully apologized to my husband and me, begging us to save our elder brother, but by then his kidneys had completely failed, and he passed away shortly after. When she learned of her eldest son's death, the old woman's spirit completely left her. No matter how much of a disappointment her eldest son was, he remained the old woman's favorite. Because of her favoritism toward the eldest son, the daughter-in-law also received the old woman's special treatment. Yet it was precisely this favoritism that fueled the daughter-in-law's greed, ultimately leading to the eldest son's death. My mother-in-law regrets her past decisions, but it's too late now. I tried to comfort my husband, but he's beyond caring. Honey, I've got great news. With this new bonus plus the money from selling our previous home, we can finally afford a bigger house. I've got great news too. I placed a car key in my husband's hand. I inherited my great-aunt's estate and bought that car you've been eyeing, paid in full. My husband happily wrapped me in a hug. Life has finally settled into a peaceful rhythm, and our future will only keep getting brighter. Story 2. In my past life, I was killed by the white moonlight my master brought home. I reincarnated back to that very day. No more demons, ghosts, or messy love affairs. Packed my bags to leave the sect for good, but my master overheard my thoughts of fleeing. Iris wants to run away. My master suddenly wrapped his arms around my waist from behind, pressing close to my ear with bloodshot eyes as he growled through clenched teeth. I shook my head while trying to appease him. No shit, what are you waiting for? To die? Cherish your life. Stay away from scumbags and white lotuses. The master looked down at me, a cold smile curling at the corner of his lips. He said in a measured tone, "Guards, seize them and lock them in the moon prison." I was an orphan, having lost my family since childhood. I wandered from place to place, living hand to mouth, until that fateful day, a master clad in white robes appeared before me, ethereal, aloof, and radiating celestial grace. "Your spiritual roots show promise. Would you join our sect and cultivate immortality?" Filthy as I was, I nodded eagerly at this pristine, beautiful figure before me. Throughout the journey, my bony fingers clutched tightly to my master's robe, yet in my heart, a silent resolution took form. Such a beautiful person shall belong to me alone from now on. If anyone dares to compete for Master's affection, I'll end them. From that day onward, I became Master's chief disciple. Afterwards, Master kept bringing home more ragged souls like me. 1. Eldest brother Gawain practices sword cultivation. Second brother Orion masters beast taming. Third brother Apollo specializes in alchemy. As for me, I'm just a half-baked amateur, a jack of all trades, but master of none. That day, the master set out on his usual journey, yet he returned with a young girl in tow. The sect's newest junior disciple, named Shinroashue, the junior sister was utterly captivating, radiantly beautiful with a touch of tender grace. The master showed her exceptional care and attention. I watched from afar as the master grew so intimate with her. My eyes burned crimson with jealousy. I'm itching to kill her right this instant, but I fear if my master discovers this possessive obsession I harbor, he'll cast me out of the sect. I'm terrified of losing my master forever. In my past life, I endured silently as that white lotus kept staging one manipulative act after another, all just to stay by my master's side. Yet this was the outcome. He imprisoned me in the moon dungeon, posted guards to watch me, forbidding any suicide attempts. My heart aches as if pierced by 1,000 knives. Lancelot, what would killing me accomplish? You saved my life. Now I return it to you. We're even now. Yet my ever-gentle master now stood wild-eyed with madness. Kill you. In life you belong to me, and in death you shall never escape my grasp. I shut my eyes in despair as stagnant chi gathered in my chest, the unbearable heartache forcing a mouthful of blood from my lips. With my last ounce of strength spent, I finally succumbed to death. Master, is this the senior sister Iris you mentioned? Shuir pays respects to senior sister Iris. Shinroashue looked utterly delicate and coquettish. She clung so closely to her master that a mere breeze might send her tumbling into his arms. Just like in my past life, my senior brothers and I were cultivating in our master's courtyard, calculating the time. Not bad. It's time for the master to return with that white lotus. The senior disciples gathered around. The crowd bowed in unison. Master, this is the disciple I took in during my travels. Take good care of her. She's still young. Then the master turned to me and said, Iris, since you're both female cultivators, let her stay with you in Phoenix Wu courtyard. Like hell you're staying here. Since you're so obsessed with your little white lotus, why don't you move into the cloud-chanting pavilion? A scoundrel with his white lotus, such a devoted couple, the emperor would skip morning court for this. Wouldn't your precious white lotus feel wronged cramming in this tiny Mingwu courtyard with me? Suppressing my irritation, I forced a bright smile and obediently nodded before linking arms with Shinroashue. Master needn't worry, this disciple will take good care of her. My senior brother looked stunned. Junior sister, you've got nerves of steel. Lancelot hissed through clenched teeth. Iris, do you realize what you've just said? What did I even say? I lounged on the bed with my legs crossed, counting down the time on my fingers, though I've been reborn into this life. But life is too short, I should start making arrangements to leave the sect. The junior sister instantly won everyone's affection the moment she arrived. Lancelot was particularly fond of her. Naturally, I made sure to act just as fond of my junior sister. She seemed equally taken with me too, yet deep down I knew better, the darkness that lurked beneath her innocent facade. Before it gets sliced, run for it. Senior sister, meet me at Frostbridge tomorrow morning. I've something to tell you. I've been reborn, and the game has just begun. She's still pulling the same old tricks. TSK, what a sanctimonious little saint. Classic you. I went to keep the appointment. With red-rimmed eyes, she timidly tugged at my sleeve and asked, Senior sister, do you dislike me? I stared fixedly at this master of playing the victim before me. Such artful tears. Like pear blossoms glistening with rain, she'd pulled this trick countless times in our past life, in our previous incarnation, since she was the one our master brought back. Love me, love my dog. I naturally dote on her, yet she often wears two faces. I always give her the best things first, yet rumors spread through the sect that I gave my junior sister discarded cultivation resources out of jealousy. Though I've never cared for such idle gossip, what others think means nothing, too. My master's opinion is all that matters. Little did I know, it was these very rumors and slanders that gradually drove a wedge between my master and me, though in this life I care not for my master's regard. The thought of leaving the sect still weighs on me. Fending for myself, I had to pull myself together to protect my reputation. With teary eyes, I immediately responded, Junior sister, do you have some prejudice against me? Why would you think that way? The second senior brother rushed over and grabbed my arm. Junior sister, why are you crying? The senior brother teased. Seriously, Iris, what's going on between you and junior sister? Back when you were punished by our master and bedridden in pain for half a month, you didn't shed a single tear. What kind of injustice has you so upset now? White Lotus clearly didn't expect me to cry. Clearly didn't expect my senior brothers to arrive so quickly. It's all because of that White Lotus you all adore. She's trying to frame me. She deliberately staged this on the path you take after training, putting on a show for you fools. I immediately burst into even more pitiful sobs. Tears were streaming down uncontrollably, gasping for breath. They stammered, and nothing. Just that junior sister thinks I dislike her. Thankfully I was quick-witted. I beat the White Lotus at her own game. Junior sister probably thinks I'd grow jealous. Seeing how you and the master both dote on her since she joined the sect, who's jealous of whom, that schemer spends every day plotting against me, and only you fools would fall for his tricks. Those who got duped either ended up dead or crippled. You three might as well call yourselves the Three Stooges. The senior disciples' faces instantly displayed a mix of complex emotions. They exchanged a knowing glance. Their concerned expressions shifted to surprise, then outright shock. The junior sister finally caught on, her eyelids fluttered downward, biting her lower lip pitifully. Senior sister didn't bully me, yet her expression betrayed a hint of grievance and timidity. Please don't send me away, senior sister, I didn't mean to share the brother's affection with you. I'll just stay silent and watch your performance. The junior sister instinctively took half a step back as she spoke. She wanted to retreat to her senior brother's side. The senior brothers also stepped back half a pace in perfect unison. Pure coincidence. Must be a coincidence. White Lotus silently retreated another half step while weeping. The senior brothers, I'll retreat further. They retreated another half step in unison. What unfolded was a rather bizarre scene. There I stood on this end, with my senior brothers on the other, me. And right between us stood that sanctimonious hypocrite. Even the junior sister forgot her tears in that moment. A look of utter disbelief, I was stunned too, gave the senior brothers a meaningful glance. Why are these fools acting different from their past lives? Something's off, something feels very wrong. The senior disciples avoided eye contact. Any of you dare to speak up? I certainly won't. The second senior brother whispered. The master summoned us to the assembly. We might be running late. The disciples suddenly realized with alarm. Absolutely, master will punish us if we're late, junior sisters. We'll take our leave first. With that, he bolted like the wind. Wait, that's it. All that work for nothing. Strangely enough, ever since that day, my senior brothers vanished without a trace. I went to ask our master. They say all the senior brothers have gone down the mountain for their trials. Let me reckon, junior sister has been with our sect for quite some time now, yet I seldom see the young apprentice practicing cultivation. The master didn't have any particular demands about this. Instead, he kept showering the junior sister with rare treasures. TCH, what a blind old fool. The junior sister leveraged the master's favor to curry favor throughout the sect. The usual troublemakers aren't around the sect. The junior sister's romantic focus clearly shifted to our master, either cooking delicacies for the master today, 3, or channeling spiritual energy into his precious herbs tomorrow. Lancelot was naturally handsome, compared to when he first brought me into the sect. All right, all right. His cultivation had advanced remarkably, and his features grew more refined and noble, especially those silver strands of hair, and even more distinctive aura. Yet this was the very master. That perpetually aloof face would always soften with a hint of smiles when Qin Ruoxue coaxed him. News arrived from the senior disciple undergoing trials in the mortal world. He said it would happen in due time. The celestial stellar secret realm will soon open. I arrived at the cloud-chanting pavilion. The junior sister knelt beside our master, tugging at his sleeve. Master, please let me venture into the secret realm for training. I promise to keep myself safe. If that won't do, perhaps senior sister Iris could accompany me. Frowning slightly, Iris, that might not be advisable. I raised an eyebrow, watching the drama unfold with amusement. Lancelot, finally, you're actually making sense for once. I'm useless. As fragile as a willow in the wind, utterly incapable of protecting your precious little lotus, the junior sister wouldn't let it go. Clinging to the master's arm, she pouted coquettishly, Master, enough, enough. If you're truly set on going, I'll summon your senior brothers to accompany you. TSK, what a delicate little lotus, even heaven would pity her. I stepped forward eagerly. Master, this disciple swears to protect junior sister with my life. Master, please grant Iris and junior sister permission to undertake the mountain descent trial together. I can't protect your precious white lotus, but I can seize this chance to escape. Hey Lancelot, you and that white lotus deserve each other. May you be eternally shackled in this sect. The master froze momentarily. A face suddenly turned icy. A chilling aura radiated. The junior sister's eyes welled up with tears. Master, did Shue'er say something wrong to anger you? The master gave me a profound look before handing the sect treasury key to Qin Ruoxue. This is your first expedition. Take whatever supplies you need. If there's nothing else, you're dismissed for now. I'll have a proper talk with your senior sister. Why do I get the feeling that bastard Lancelot is pissed? Cowardly in appearance, but brave at heart. Whoever backs down is a coward. The junior apprentice sister took the key from the master's hand. She raised an eyebrow and shook it at me triumphantly. Junior sister is gone. The master spoke softly. Lately, you seem to harbor some resentment toward me. I stared at the master's face, immediately shook my head. Disciple, there isn't. I'm way beyond just dissatisfied with you. I must have had shit in my eyes in my past life to ever fancy you and follow you back to the sect. The master nodded thoughtfully. Then, where did this master go wrong? Don't ask. If you ask, everything's wrong. The master's voice came again, carrying a faint trace of anticipation. Do you, perhaps, dislike me? I lowered my head, fingertips slowly digging into my palms before slackening in defeat. Lancelot, I release you, and set myself free. In our past life, you imprisoned me for her sake. When I begged for death with you, you denied me even that. In this lifetime, it's me who rejects you. May you and your little white lotus live happily ever after. May your hearts beat as one. Love endure forever. Marriage be blessed. Vows last a lifetime. Flowers bloom in pairs. Union be harmonious. And destiny span 3 lifetimes. The master's expression kept shifting. The skies shifted from clear to overcast, then back to clear again. I completely failed to notice my master's unusual expression. Swallowing hard, I replied, this disciple doesn't dislike master. Instead of getting angry, Master burst into laughter, a surge of spiritual energy. The grand hall doors slammed shut. What the hell is this bastard up to now? He pulled me into his arms and growled. I never realized Iris thought of me this way. What exactly am I thinking? My expression turned cold. I struggled to free myself from Lancelot's embrace. My master firmly restrained my squirming body in his arms. I thrashed violently in my master's embrace like a caught carp, futile, utterly useless. My eyes rolled back as I exhaled a turbid breath. Just gave up struggling altogether. Done playing sweet with your little saint, and now you're trying to put your arm around me. Ugh, if you're not disgusted by yourself, I sure am. Lancelot's hands held me in a vice-like grip, his silence deafening, yet his eyes betrayed a flicker of predatory excitement. I lowered my gaze, smoothing my hair in a feeble attempt at composure. For, Master, this disciple has overstepped. My flushed cheeks and racing heart betrayed me. The master let out a soft chuckle, shifted positions again, pulled me onto his lap. A jade-white hand slipped beneath my clothes, tracing slow circles across the small of my back and spine. Hot breath whispered against my ear. Iris, you've deceived your master for so long. Tell me, don't you deserve punishment? My mind was in complete disarray. Did Lancelot get kicked in the head by a donkey? Casting a suspicious glance at Lancelot, I spoke up. Iris doesn't understand what you mean, Master. Please explain clearly. Yet Lancelot buried his face in the crook of my neck. Suddenly he began kissing my neck, speaking softly. When have you ever seen me share intimacy with Qin Ruoxue? When have you ever witnessed me being close with her? How could you possibly know whether my heart belongs to her or to you? Upon hearing this, I froze for a moment. I've never seen this before. It was Qin Ruoxue, she whispered in my ear. Your beloved master cultivated through dual practice with me during the sex grand ceremony, never laid eyes on you before, yet if not for this, at the same moment, why would master show such favor to our junior sister, even, imprisoning me? I took a deep breath and forcefully broke free from my master's embrace. Lancelot didn't expect me to make such a sudden move. With a violent jerk, I wrenched myself free. Not daring to look back, I bolted. Master, I must take my leave now. I'll accompany junior sister to the secret realm. A faint smile curled at the corners of the master's lips behind me. Very well, you may go. The road ahead holds unpredictable dangers. I've just cast a tracking spell on you. No matter where you roam, I can always bring you back safely. Go forth without fear, Iris, and gain your experience. His sprinting legs faltered for a moment, yet he dared not look back, immediately resuming his frantic dash. Lancelot, this isn't over between us. The junior apprentice proudly carried her spirit pouch, showing it off all the way. This is the blood replenishment pill Master gave me, a supreme grade elixir, and this is the defense talisman from Master, a top-tier magical inscription. Pointing at the spirit pouch, she said, Senior sister, look, all these were gifted by our master. Senior sister, if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to come find Shuer. I silently stared at my spirit pouch. Not a word was spoken. Inside lay a solitary vitality restoration pill. I still remember that day when our master sent word. Don't forget to bring the vitality restoration pills I specially prepared for you. Take one daily. Glancing at my junior sister. Look at me again. I clutched my chest with a sharp intake of breath, gnashing my teeth. Lancelot, you bastard. Still claiming you're not involved with that little white lotus, the junior apprentice sister chattered nonstop the whole way. I was utterly devastated the whole way, crushed that my grand escape plan had failed. Such was the scene unfolding before them. Finally, at the entrance to the secret realm, we successfully reunited with our senior brother. The junior sister was overjoyed. The junior sister was thrilled because she'd somehow gotten wind of a rumor. Deep in the secret realm dwelled the mythical vermilion bird and a 10,000-year-old snow lotus. She wanted them desperately, so she clung stubbornly to second brother Apollo and fourth brother Orion, refusing to let go. Helpless, the other senior brothers separated from us the moment we entered the mystic realm. I shook my head and sighed regretfully at second brother. Second brother, you insisted on fighting the Black Phoenix despite being no match for it. The mystic bird is a celestial-grade creature with intelligence comparable to a human toddler. Tough break losing an arm. Junior sister didn't even glance your way. After pouring your heart and soul into it, junior sister swooped in to reap the rewards. Second brother furrowed his brows and silently reached to touch his own arm. Still there, I shot another glance at third senior brother. Poor third senior brother. Brains, he's got some, but barely enough. The junior sister bats her eyelashes for spirit herbs. And you charge straight into the poison forest for her. Should I admire your courage, or your intelligence? The Millennium Snow Lotus was finally retrieved, but your eyes went blind and ears turned deaf. In the end, the elixir failed, and the mind was lost. Third brother's eyes widened in shock, his face a mix of bewilderment and an awkward yet polite smile. So I'm even worse off than Qian Qian. The youngest sister glanced around, then smiled contentedly, curling her lips as she spoke. Third brother, second brother, I've heard there's a divine Qian bird deep within the secret realm. Forming a contract with it could greatly enhance one's cultivation. Second senior brother has been stuck at the late-stage nascent soul realm for quite some time now. Shuer would be honored to accompany senior brother in breaking through to the early-stage soul projection realm and forming a contract with the mystical phoenix. Oh my. What a perfect little white lotus, always knows just what to say. Weren't you the one who ended up scrambling to contract that phoenix? Poor second brother, working your fingers to the bone only to get betrayed and still counting their money for them. TSK. Second brother froze, shooting me a silent sideways glance. He swallowed hard, then gestured toward third brother standing nearby. He spoke with difficulty. Junior sister. Third brother and I went down the mountain for training recently and crossed swords with others. Our cultivation foundations were damaged. Now is not the optimal time to attempt forming our nascent souls. Seeing this, third senior brother also nodded vigorously in agreement, a bit too vigorously. The forceful nodding left him dizzy, swaying unsteadily before regaining his balance. Junior sister struggled to hide her disappointment, nervously tugging at her sleeve. Why don't we leave third brother and second brother in senior sister Iris's care? Shuer would like to try this herself. The third and second senior brothers heaved a sigh of relief. They immediately produced high-grade teleportation talismans and supreme healing pills for their junior sister, offering them with meaningful advice. These senior brothers are so useless. Little junior sister, if there's any danger, just teleport back to the sect immediately. I suppressed my delight and gave a few perfunctory words of advice. After the junior sister left, I couldn't help muttering to myself, this seems different from my past life. Still, at least all my senior brothers are in one piece now. A faint smile curled at the corners of my lips. Rare treasures, mystical fruits and beasts. I'm coming for that legendary fortune. You'll be my support when I descend the mountain. Third brother and fifth brother face-bombed. What kind of standard is being complete? Isn't that bar too low? Hey Iris, the Tianyin sect discovered a patch of stars park grass by the eastern lakeside of the secret realm. I pointed eastward and said, Senior brother, let's head this way. The 10,000 Buddha sect found a Millennium Buddha heart fruit in the cave along the eastern shore. I pointed and exclaimed, Senior brother, there's a cave here, and a fruit inside. The Spirit Beast sect acquired a pack of Netherfrost wolves in the southern region. Senior brother. Let's head south, senior brother, let's go north. When the secret realm closed and we returned to the sect, 5, the junior sister was already by the master's side. I still remember, the junior sister knelt before the master, sobbing, Master, it was Shuair who failed to watch over senior brother, punish me instead. Senior sister Iris, she didn't know the 10,000-year snow lotus was in the poison forest. If master had given all those gifts meant for Shuair to sister Iris instead, she would never have sent third brother. This is all because Shuair was too greedy. The third and second senior brothers glanced at their bulging spirit pouches, with a pack of adorable wolf pups trailing behind. A radiant smile lingered, brimming with unspoken delight. Our master's gaze swept casually over our group. Suddenly, a scorching gaze locked onto me, like a rabbit frozen under a predator's gaze. I kept my head bowed, not daring to move. After a moment, the master nodded approvingly and praised with a smile. Well done, now that you've returned, you shall not descend the mountain again. Make thorough preparations for the sect's grand ceremony in 1 month. Iris, you'll be in charge of this matter. The disciples replied in unison, as you command, Master. A period of calm ensued. The junior sister stayed quiet and didn't stir up trouble. The master started acting up. I have to keep an eye on the junior sister, and also guard against that perverted beast of a master. The master noticed and deliberately summoned me before the assembly to receive admonishment in the main hall. Within the sect's walls, there are rules to uphold. I couldn't openly defy my master before the gathered disciples. To put it bluntly, that's outright heresy. Bearing the weight of pressure and unease, trembling, I followed my master into the inner chamber. The master reclined on the couch, taking a sip from the teacup by his side. A cascade of silver hair cascaded down the master's waist, a surge of spiritual energy. The door slammed shut with a sharp crack. Swish, swish, swish. 3 more surges of spiritual energy. The master set up a barrier around us, then he leisurely sat up, his jade-white fingers drumming rhythmically on the table. My legs gave way, nearly buckling beneath me, yet my knees refused to bend. My master strode over and pulled me into an embrace. With burning intensity, he enunciated each word, Iris. Have you been avoiding your master? I bit my lip. This disciple wouldn't dare. How am I supposed to greet you with a smile if I can't even avoid you? Two-faced bastard. Home is wherever I roam. I come and go as I please. The master narrowed his eyes and said coldly, still trying to run. When did I ever say? Before I could finish my answer, it came without warning. My master's kiss descended upon me with startling intensity. His kiss left me weak and trembling, my attempts to push him away proving futile. Good girl, Iris. My master swept me off my feet and carried me to the bed. The warmth from his hand seeped through my clothes. It burned and tingled. I squirmed to get up. My master gave my butt a firm smack. Behave. Stay still. I froze in complete shock. Holy hell, Lancelot, you damn pervert. The master let out a soft chuckle, leaned in close again. Stop laughing. Peach. My master Lancelot is a depraved monster, but I don't understand. My junior sister has a secret crush on our master. The master loves her too. Master has a white lotus, yet he still insists on getting handsy with me. My master in the past life was blind, but at least he wasn't a beast. I returned to Mingwu courtyard with swollen lips. Upon returning to my quarters, my junior sister handed me a plate of peach blossom pastries with both hands. Elder sister, Shuair made these especially for you. Won't you try some? There's always something fishy about unexpected kindness. Forget about those pastries. Ever since junior sister came to the annex, no, I haven't even seen a crumb of peach blossom pastry. Seeing my indifference, she shoved a piece straight into my mouth. Muttering to myself, senior sister, the sect's grand ceremony is approaching soon. Would you ask our master to entrust this matter entirely to Shuair? Just like in my past life, it's about the sect grand ceremony. Indeed, there's no way junior sister would miss this event. This is her chance to showcase herself before all the sects, yet this differs from my past life. The sect's grand ceremony was always meant for junior sister from the very beginning. I chewed thoughtfully before swallowing the peach blossom pastry. The taste was truly exceptional. Yuck. No way I'm eating that no matter how tasty it looks. Iris, living a second life. You can't let yourself be defeated by a mere cookie. I forcibly peeled my gaze away from the remaining peach blossom pastries on the plate, staring fixedly at junior sister. His eyes suddenly gleamed with an idea. What a fortunate coincidence. Was just worrying about being tied up. Then came the perfect solution delivered to my doorstep. For once, I cast an approving glance at the white lotus, suppressing my delight. I feigned hesitation with a furrowed brow. I fear it would be improper for me to approach our master. I wouldn't want to disappoint his expectations. As your senior sister, I naturally wish to see you flourish. Why don't you speak to our master directly? I'll support you when needed. The junior sister's eyes lit up as she set the plate of peach blossom pastries on the stone table. She stepped forward and took my hand, saying, "Senior sister, are you serious? Then I'll go speak with our master this afternoon." 6. The grand sect ceremony commenced as scheduled. Delegations from all major sects came to pay their respects. The youngest disciple served as the master-appointed steward. She navigated effortlessly among the great sects with practiced ease. Our junior sister has always been a beauty. Today's pale red celestial gown makes her radiance even more dazzling. Every smile, every gesture captivated the hearts of many young masters from noble clans present. I was idly wandering around the place, but my mind was busy scheming all the while. With this crowd today, it's hardly the right moment to descend the mountain. I held a piece of pastry in my left hand. In my right hand, I held a cup of spirit wine, still muttering under my breath. "Sister Iris," my junior sister said, smiling as she approached me with a cup of spirit tea. I looked at the tea in her hand and let out a cold scoff. In my past life, she had drugged the tea. When I came to, Phelan, the young master of Tianqing sect, was lying beside me. I knew perfectly well that nothing had happened between Phelan and me, yet outside the door stood my grim-faced master with murderous eyes, accompanied by representatives from various sects. "Senior sister, have some tea to sober up. Shu'er noticed you seem a bit tipsy." I let out an indifferent "oh," took a step forward and reached out to accept the spirit tea, but pretended to fumble, letting the teacup shatter on the ground. The junior sister gasped and immediately took a step back. She then gave me a concerned look. "Senior Iris, are you drunk?" Hearing the commotion, several curious glances turned our way. "So this is Lancelot's female disciple, getting dead drunk this early in the morning. What a disgraceful sight. Now this new apprentice of mine is truly impressive, young, capable, and meticulous in everything he does." The junior sister overheard these remarks. Her smile deepened. After a brief pause, she continued, "Shu'er is completely overwhelmed. Senior sister, would you fetch the Cloudwater Sword from the treasury after your tea?" The Cloudwater Sword is one of the sect's 10 great treasures. For the grand sect ceremony, the major sects would send their junior disciples to spar with one another. They fought with restraint, stopping before serious injury, yet there must be a victor to crown. So the Grand Master offered this sword as the champion's prize. I emerged from the treasure vault clutching a water-imbued sword. Unintentionally, 2 rosy blushes crept across my cheeks. My body grew increasingly feverish as my consciousness began to blur. Only then did I realize I'd fallen for the same trick yet again in this lifetime. No time to wonder why. I sneaked into Master's cloud-chanting pavilion unnoticed. The Master's quarters make a fine retreat. The entire sect swarmed with people during today's grand ceremony. Only Master's place would do. So peaceful and pristine, and with the grand ceremony going on, Master probably isn't here right now. Mustering what strength I had left, I slipped into the inner chamber. My body felt boneless, every step sending weakness through my limbs. I slammed the door shut, and only when I collapsed onto my master's bed did my frantic heart finally settle. Then I began channeling spiritual energy to force the poison from my veins. Little did I expect half-baked skills. It only fueled the poison. In despair, I lifted my gaze to the ceiling. This is what comes of slacking off in training. If I don't get the antidote soon, I can hold on for 2 hours at most. After that, my body may rupture and perish. After careful consideration, is the senior disciple still our best option? Immediately send a carrier pigeon message. Iris urgently requests assistance. Senior disciple, come swiftly to the master's rear hall. Suddenly, a pair of slender hands came into view, intercepting the messenger pigeon mid-flight. Then a cool yet amused voice whispered by my ear, "Shouldn't Iris be preparing for the ceremony instead of loitering around her mentor? Could it be, you're plotting something indecent against your master, Lancelot, you damn pervert? Like hell I would. Talk all you want, but don't block my carrier pigeon or I'll knock your teeth in." Wait, why is Lancelot here? My heart skipped a beat. This is it. Just when it rains, it pours. I looked up with an ingratiating smile and said, "Master, your disciple had too much to drink and stumbled here by mistake. The whole sect is celebrating today. Surely Master won't scold Iris for indulging in wine." In my past life, I staggered to my feet, my consciousness growing hazier. I tried to slip away from his side, but he caught my wrist and pinned me down, gently tilting my chin upward, fingertips tracing along my lips, panting weakly. I mustered my last shred of will to push him away. His back was already taut with tension. My push sent him recoiling like a snapped bowstring. Before I could react, a warm dampness brushed my earlobe. He hoisted me up effortlessly, then locked an iron grip around my waist. With one fluid motion, he slipped my garments away. A moan of pleasure escaped my lips, yet the poison within me raged even fiercer. Clutching my master's sleeve, I panted in protest. "Don't." My body betrayed my heart as my wandering hands explored Lancelot's form. The master said with a profound smile, coaxing, "Don't want to." I felt the warmth gradually leaving my body, frantically reaching out with half-lidded eyes. I slurred, "I do." The scorching body heat pressed close once more. In the azure hall, cascades of ebony and ivory hair entwined like waterfalls. Inseparable, when consciousness returned again, Lancelot is gone. The Cloudwater sword has vanished without a trace. I gaze at the telltale marks on my skin. Memories of what just transpired come flooding back. Our master always maintains an ascetic demeanor. Gotta admit, it packs quite a punch. The master isn't here. Junior sister's away. My vision went dark. The senior brothers are away. I lay on the bed snorting with laughter, with everything in my favor. Now's the perfect time to make a run for it. I stealthily slipped back to my Mingwu courtyard. Grabbing the pre-packed bundle, slipped away from the mountain sect unnoticed, ran like the wind, until the sect behind grew smaller and vanished from sight. Night had fallen by the time I bought the courtyard. 7. My eyelids grew heavy as I lay in bed, and I drifted off to sleep. What on earth is Iris doing all the way out here? I must still be dreaming. Why do I hear Lancelot's voice? Then that icy voice spoke again by my ear. Still sleeping, Iris. My eyes flew open. Locked in a gaze with Lancelot's slanted phoenix eyes, disbelieving, I squeezed my eyes shut. Defiantly, I opened them again. Lancelot flashed a roguish grin, his teeth gleaming white. All right. What? Still half asleep? Need your master to wake you up properly." I sprang upright like a carp leaping from water, struggling to get out of bed, only to end up straddling Lancelot in our awkward tussle. He leaned in close and whispered, "So this is the position Iris likes." Lancelot rose to silence me with his lips. He pinned both my hands behind my back. His words left me weak at the knees. Before I knew it, most of my clothes had been removed. I stared at the fresh marks covering my body. Through gritted teeth, I spat at Lancelot. "Damn you, Lancelot. You bite like a rabid dog." Lancelot's crimson eyes burned as his alabaster fingers traced my cheek. "Still trying to run. One more attempt. And this master will have no choice but to confine you in the moon prison." I shook my head obediently. The very next day, my master brought me back to the sect. The sect's grand ceremony had already concluded. My junior sister feigned surprise upon seeing me and asked, "Where have you been?" "Senior sister, Shuair searched for you all day yesterday." I glanced up at Lancelot, muttered listlessly, "Where else could I go?" My senior brothers came over to console me. "Junior sister, missing the sect ceremony is no great loss. Next time another sect holds an event, I'll take you along to broaden your horizons." I mumbled dejectedly, "You're the best, senior brother." We returned to our sect. Our master paid no heed to outsiders' opinions. Take me to the cloud-chanting pavilion, and he had the audacity to call it Iris's cultivation is too weak. It seems this master must personally guide her training. My senior brothers looked at me with envious eyes, all clamoring to move into the cloud-chanting pavilion for guidance too. The junior sister shot me a venomous look and said, "What fortunate luck you have, elder sister. Shuair congratulates you." To my surprise, after that day, I never saw my master again. Soon after, a startling news spread through the cultivation world. Rumor has it the demon realm plans to invade the cultivation world, turning it into their proving grounds. Whispers suggest Iris of the Sun Moon sect has ties to the demon realm. The Sun Moon sect maintains multiple demonic portals connecting both realms. I literally gasped, "Holy crap, karma's coming back to bite you." The senior disciple rushed into the cloud-chanting pavilion, gasping for breath. "Junior sister, you must flee at once. The major sects have joined forces and are coming for you. They're blockading the sect entrance, demanding our master give them an explanation. There's a traitor among us." Somehow they actually managed to uncover several teleportation arrays. I asked leisurely, "The rumors of the demon realm's invasion have circulated for ages. The major sects aren't fools. Do they actually believe such claims?" My senior brother urgently pulled at my sleeve. "Junior sister, you must leave now." He pressed his lips together before adding, "There are rumors that activating this formation requires your blood as a catalyst, whether it's true or not. With all the major sects wanting to eliminate future threats, do you really think they'll let you live?" I raised an eyebrow in contemplation. So this is where the trap was set. Doesn't take a genius to figure this out. Only junior sister could have started this kind of rumor. The White Lotus's tactics are downright sophisticated. For the peace of the cultivation world, they shackle sects with moral high ground and hold our master hostage. I alone stand against all major sects when the time comes. My junior sister will claim it's for the sake of all living beings in the cultivation realm. Even killing me would earn universal approval. I stood in the hall clutching my senior brother's sleeve, staring straight into his eyes as I asked, "Do you trust me, brother?" "Of course we trust you, junior brother." With our master absent, second and third brothers are holding off the sect representatives at the gate. They sent me to warn you immediately. We fear we can't stop them if they force their way in to take you. I paused, lips parting as if to speak, yet no words came, only a sudden warmth blossoming in my chest. At that moment, fragments of my past life surfaced in my mind, though in that previous existence, I'd been confined to the moon prison without ever truly living, but there in the lunar cell, I caught whispers of it from Lancelot's own lips. The demon realm's inhabitants are stirring with restless energy. They seek to invade the cultivation world, where many traitors have already emerged. To activate the teleportation array between the demon and cultivation realms, the only key required is the blood of a demon realm native. So, little junior sister, you're a demon. With a relaxed brow, I burst into laughter before settling onto the couch, taking a sip of tea. Elder brother, I'm not leaving, I'll stay right here. Let's see what they can possibly do to me. We won't leave until you hand over the person today. Elder Alaric of Violet Mist Temple paced at the entrance, twirling a spirit-binding rope in his hand. Master Silas of the 10,000 Buddha sect stepped forward to mediate. Elder Alaric, calm yourself. Let's first hear what the Sun Moon sect has to say for themselves. The crowd erupted into a cacophony of overlapping arguments at the gate. The junior disciple stood outside the sect's barrier, raising her hand to signal for silence among the gathered sects. With profound sorrow, she declared, "Elder Alaric, Master Silas, and all respected elders of the sects, my master is currently absent. As the junior representative, I shall speak for our sect. If senior sister Iris is indeed a traitor to the demon realm, our Sun Moon sect will show no mercy. For the peace of the cultivation world, I, Jean Roashui, shall be the first to uphold justice even at the cost of my own kin." "Well said," came an anonymous voice from the crowd. A chorus of approving voices rose in waves. "Isn't this the junior who presided over the sect ceremony that day?" An elder asked those beside him. "Indeed, this young lady is truly remarkable." The junior sister turned around and said earnestly, "Senior brother Apollo, perhaps we should let the major sects enter. This way we'll have an explanation ready for the various sects. Secondly, this will clear senior sister Iris's name and restore both her honor and the reputation of our Sun Moon sect." Someone from the crowd shouted, "Exactly, we're doing this for the sake of all cultivators. The truth will be revealed once we test it." Apollo clenched his teeth, about to refuse when Orion fumed from the sidelines. "How dare a junior disciple presume to speak for our master, even to clear our names? We must wait for the master's return. Your obstruction reeks of foul play," snapped Elder Cedric of the Tianyuan sect, his brows furrowed in anger. Witnessing this, the major sects immediately prepared to storm the sect gates. The junior sister watched the chaos among the cultivators with a triumphant smirk playing on her lips. The two sides remained deadlocked. The second and third senior brothers began sporting fresh bruises on their faces. The junior sister abruptly dropped to her knees. With trembling lips and doe-eyed innocence, she pleaded, "Honored elders, my senior sister truly isn't from the demon realm." The crowd sighed. "Young one, rise now. This matter doesn't concern you." Tears streaming down her face, the junior disciple turned toward the sect compound and implored, "Senior brother, let's not trouble these venerable elders further." A dangerous glint flashed in Apollo's eyes as he smirked. "If you won't talk, I'll just assume you're someone's little junior sister, then I'll start with you." In a sudden shift, Taoist Alaric made his move against Apollo. I approached slowly, arching an eyebrow as I declared loudly, "Just who dares to try? Elder Alaric, weren't you looking for me? How dare you take advantage of our master's absence to bully juniors?" To the uninformed, this might look like you're acting for the cultivation world. To those who know better, it seems you're seizing this chance to make trouble for our Sun Moon sect. My second and third senior brothers rushed to my side, exclaiming, "Junior sister, what are you doing here?" The eldest senior brother gave a helpless chuckle. "Don't look at me, I couldn't stop our junior sister." Seeing this, everyone's scrutinizing gazes turned to Taoist Alaric. Taoist Alaric quickly stopped, frantically explaining, "You young whippersnapper, don't you dare spout such nonsense." I scoffed, looking at the crowd. I wonder who among us is truly spouting nonsense. Our Sun and Moon sect possesses a formation. A single drop of blood will reveal who the true traitor to the cultivation world is. Feel free to accompany me and see the truth for yourselves. To my knowledge, only the blood of demon realm inhabitants can activate this formation. My gaze flickered toward my junior sister kneeling on the ground. After a pause, I continued, "Moreover, when exposed to the formation, demon blood transforms from red to gold." True, though this matter isn't widely known, however. Information about identifying demonic creatures is routinely shared among sect leaders. Seeing Taoist Alaric and others didn't refute but tacitly accepted this explanation, the junior sister's face turned deathly pale. Within the sect's compound, I channeled spiritual energy to prick my finger, attempting to let blood drip onto the formation. My third senior brother and others stood guard around me with tense expressions. Just as the blood was about to fall from my fingertip onto the formation, the junior sister suddenly gasped in shock. Senior sister Iris, why is there a golden hue in your blood? Taoist Silas and Taoist Alaric exchanged a glance, and without hesitation, immediately drew their Wufeng stones and immortal binding ropes. They said coldly, prepare to meet your end, fiend. Though the third senior brother and others had me tightly surrounded, yet couldn't withstand the combined assault from Taoist Silas and Alaric, sent flying with blood spewing from my mouth. My junior sister stared in disbelief. Senior sister, how could you be a demon? I grabbed the sword at my side and lunged straight at her. Taoist Silas and Master Alaric shielded their junior sister behind them while launching another attack. At that very moment, Lancelot descended from the sky on his flying sword, giving me a reassuring glance. In my past life, he said coldly, who dares lay hands on my people within the Sun Moon sect? Master Silas and the others took a step back, saying, we too are doing this for the sake of all beings in the cultivation world. The others chimed in, the sect leader must consider the bigger picture. I sneered, are you absolutely sure you saw my blood turn gold with your own 2 eyes, or did you not see anything at all, and just wanted to kill me? I pointed my sword at junior sister and declared, if you call me a demon, then I say she's the demon. What will you do about it? Junior sister rushed forward, clutching our master's sleeve. Master, Shuir would never. The other sect leaders only acted after witnessing the truth themselves. Everyone nodded in agreement. Lancelot immediately pointed his sword at the junior sister's throat. Just then, the third senior brother and others began to wake up. Taoist Silas and the others frowned. What's the meaning of this, sect leader? Lancelot's sword pointed at his junior sister, then pierced her arm in the next instant. He gazed coldly at the crowd and declared, the truth will reveal itself when put to the test. Suddenly, a golden light shot straight into the heavens. 8. The junior sister knelt trembling within the formation, tears streaming down her face as she stared at her master in disbelief. Her blood gradually turned golden throughout her body. The formation array has been activated. We'll leave this demon to the sect master's judgment, said Taoist Silas and his companions awkwardly. This fiend nearly deceived us old fools into making a grave mistake. We hope Junior Iris won't hold it against us elders. In my past life, I silently greeted them in my heart. Just because you say to let it go, doesn't mean it's settled. Couldn't you at least show some reaction? The third senior brother and others burst out laughing. Lancelot cleared his throat, the mirth fading from his eyes. My disciple has suffered quite a shock. His recovery will require substantial spirit stones and medicinal herbs. Taoist Alaric patted his belt pouch before reluctantly producing a millennium-old spiritual herb and offering it forward. Taoist Silas and the others twitched their faces before begrudgingly retrieving herbs from their own spirit pouches. Cradling an armful of spirit stones and herbs, I beamed and said, do visit our Sun Moon sect more often, honored sect leaders. Everyone spat blood, dared to come again. After the incident, the master didn't kill Qin Ruoshui, but secretly imprisoned her in the moon dungeon. With the White Lotus gone, I insisted on moving back to Phoenix Wu Courtyard. The master forbids it, but now, a sour ache rose in my chest as I murmured bitterly, you're clearly in love with Qin Ruoshui. Can't even bring yourself to execute her, had to lock her in the moon prison for protection. How could you bring yourself to lay hands on her that day? My master gazed at me steadily without uttering a word, yet his fingertip lightly touched the space between my brows. A beam of white light scattered into stardust, dissolving into my forehead. I just saw it. So master was also reborn. So it was me that master kept looking at in our past life. Yet what I witnessed was Qin Ruoshui being intimate with master. It was all an act put on by that White Lotus. My master imprisoned me in the moon prison, all because of his twisted possessive obsession with me. The reason he indulges Qin Ruoshui is because she's the cure he procured for me. My master detected something wrong with my constitution at dawn. You won't live past 20. The blood of demonkin holds medicinal properties. My master knew she was a demon since the day he brought her to the sect. She exists for me alone, not for the world. In my past life after death, the master brought Qin Ruoshui before my grave, tearing sinews and ripping bones. Qin Ruoshui let out a blood-curdling scream, begging his master for mercy in utter despair. As the crimson mist spread, his eyes darkened, choking her neck with bloodshot eyes. He hissed, if Iris dislikes you, you deserve death. My master knelt before my grave, his white robe stained crimson with blood. He raised the sword to his throat and ended his life. The white light gradually faded away. My third senior brother and I were playing chess at a round table. I held a white piece in my hand, poised to make my move. The little one beside me stretched out chubby hands and mumbled, Mommy, where's Daddy? Yuer misses him. Third senior brother said affectionately, the master went down the mountain a few days ago, judging by the timing. He should return today. The black chess piece I'd been holding finally dropped onto the board. Serafina blinked her dewy eyes and exclaimed, "Third uncle beat mommy." I shot a glare at the little pest beside me. I already knew that. Sweetheart, no need to tell me. Suddenly, an overwhelming presence loomed behind me. "Did you miss your husband during our days apart?" I turned around and hugged Lancelot tightly. "I missed you. It's only been a few days. What's there to miss?" Playing chess with my seniors and practicing swordsmanship with my juniors every day couldn't be better. The person in my arms suddenly turned ice cold. Third brother laughed like a squealing pig. Suddenly, a strange thought popped into my head. Could they actually hear my thoughts? I shot third brother a suspicious glance. Third brother gave me a nod. Lancelot smirked darkly. "Who's better?" End. Story 2. I am the white moonlight of the male lead in this apocalyptic novel, according to the plot. I should have died early in a zombie horde while saving Cade, becoming his lifelong regret, but I was reborn. Using my memories from the previous life, I warned everyone to evacuate in advance and survived. Just when I thought I had finally escaped the plot, Cade's destined female lead appeared. He forgot my birthday, forgot the wedding date we had agreed upon, yet he remembered to protect Isla with his life. The plot compelled him to gradually become attracted to the female lead. Forgetting me entirely, Isla asked me with a smile, "Sister Aloan, you don't even have supernatural powers. How are you worthy to stand by his side?" I finally understood. How could anyone possibly defy fate? The day I decided to leave the base, but Cade grabbed my shoulders with reddened eyes. "Am I some kind of object to you, that you give me away so easily? Aloan, you're truly ridiculous." When Cade led the team back to the base, there was an extra girl by his side. His handsome features looked slightly weary as he gently instructed me, "Aloan, this is Isla. Please make arrangements for her." Upon hearing the name Isla, it felt like a bucket of ice water had been poured over me from head to toe, leaving my entire body stiff and frozen. What was meant to come would eventually arrive, wouldn't it? Isla is the true heroine of this world. Cade and I were college classmates, and we started dating during university, continuing until after we began working. Just as we were preparing for our wedding, the apocalypse arrived. Cade awakened lightning-based superpowers, while I remained an ordinary person. Later, in order to save Cade, I was torn to pieces by zombies, becoming a scar in Cade's heart that would never heal, until Isla appeared and eventually stood with him at the pinnacle of the world. But fate gave me another chance, and I was reborn. I thought Isla wouldn't appear again, but I still underestimated the powerful force of the plot. 1. Isla, dressed in white with long hair, exudes a refreshing and pleasant aura. In this apocalyptic world where mere survival is a challenge for ordinary people, she stands out remarkably. She extended her hand to me with natural grace. "Hello, I'm Isla, possessing dual abilities in space and water manipulation." I tried to keep my voice sounding natural and less shaky. "Welcome to the Blackbird base." On the way back, Cade noticed my low spirits and put his arm around my shoulder. "Aloan, you've worked hard these days." The familiar scent enveloped me, making me feel at ease. He took a small box from his pocket and handed it to me, saying affectionately, "Happy birthday, my love." Inside the small box was a simple hexagram necklace, quietly shimmering with delicate light. My body froze. My chest felt as if something was pressing down on it tightly, making it hard to breathe. Today is not my birthday. My birthday is still several months away. Every year we were together, he would remember my birthday, but at some point, he had already stopped remembering these things. In fact, such situations have already occurred since the beginning of this year. He would forget my birthday, the wedding date we agreed upon before the apocalypse, and even the place where we first met. I know this is just the beginning. The hand of fate will gradually steer the storyline back to its original course. And in that story, there's simply no place for me. A tremendous fear enveloped me, sending an involuntary shiver down my spine. Cade noticed my unusual behavior. "Honey, what's wrong? Are you too tired?" I shook my head. "I'm fine." I clenched the box tightly, forcefully holding back the tears that threatened to spill. This time, Cade led the special ability team to a location hundreds of kilometers away from the base, collecting a large amount of supplies enough to sustain the entire base for over half a year. This was incredibly good news for everyone in the base, so a grand celebration banquet was specially held that evening. The most dazzling person at the celebration banquet was naturally Isla. There were already few special ability users in the base, and even fewer were women. Isla, lively and beautiful, quickly blended in with the special ability team, and everyone kept coming to toast her. "We really owe it to Isla this time, otherwise how could we have transported all these supplies back?" "Isla, are you going to stay at our base this time and not leave?" Yeah, don't go, just stay with Cade." A faint peach blush appeared on Isla's fair face as she raised her glass, gazing intently at Cade. That would still need Cade's approval, wouldn't it? Cade graciously clinked glasses with her and smiled, saying, "The honor is all mine." Isla drained her glass in one go and cast me a seemingly casual yet meaningful glance. The crowd erupted in cheers, pushing the celebratory banquet's atmosphere to its peak. Kate accepted the toasts from everyone, drinking one cup after another. Isla has always been by his side, smiling and cheerful. Sitting alone in the corner, I silently watched the scene unfold. The male and female protagonists of the story finally meeting across time and space, while I was destined to be forgotten. Before the apocalypse, we were just the most ordinary couple in the world, but when the apocalypse came, he became a superhuman, while I remained an ordinary person. Cade possesses formidable supernatural abilities, combining courage with strategy, and is deeply loyal to his comrades. Gradually, he gathered followers around him, and several years later we arrived at City C, where we established this base. The original purpose of creating this base was to provide ordinary survivors with a shelter in the post-apocalyptic world, offering them a glimmer of hope to keep living. Therefore, I poured all my heart and soul into the establishment of the base. Although I don't have any supernatural abilities, as a competent helpmate, I've managed the base in perfect order. Kate handles external affairs while I manage internal matters. We've always stood shoulder to shoulder, sharing both joys and sorrows. Cade always gives his all when going out on missions. I told him that since he's now the base commander, he doesn't need to personally take on such dangerous assignments. He always looks displeased. These brothers have followed me through life and death. Now that things are just starting to improve, should I start putting on airs? Wouldn't that break their hearts? I know his sense of responsibility won't allow him to stay in the rear. So I can only sternly warn him with a serious face that safety must come first. Every time this happens, he would hug me from behind and say with a chuckle, "I know, dear wife, I know you're the best to me. When the base gets a little better, let's have our wedding, okay?" I looked at Cade, surrounded by the crowd, no longer belonging solely to me. In this post-apocalyptic world, a vast chasm has long existed between those with abilities and ordinary people. In the dark corner, tears finally fell uncontrollably. I wiped them away gently with the back of my hand and left silently. It wasn't long before what I feared came to pass. Cade got injured during a mission. When I rushed frantically to the base hospital entrance, several people were hastily carrying Cade down from the vehicle. Cade lay unconscious on the stretcher, covered in blood. Isla supported the stretcher while weeping bitterly. "Cade, it's all my fault. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have acted alone. I was wrong. Please wake up." Deputy Leader Thaddeus told me that Isla discovered a supermarket during separate operations. Instead of reporting it, she went in alone. The supermarket turned out to be filled with dozens of zombies. Isla, not being skilled in combat, screamed in fear, attracting more zombies that surrounded the supermarket. Later, Cade led a team to break through the zombie siege and rescued her. But he fell from a height and got a steel rod impaled through his shoulder. Cade was rushed into a room for emergency treatment, with everyone gathered outside the door. Furious, I glared at Isla and snapped, "Why did you act on your own without following orders? Do you realize the consequences?" Isla sobbed softly and whispered, "I truly didn't know it would turn out like this." Trembling with rage, my fingers shaking uncontrollably, I grabbed Isla by the collar and hissed, "If anything happens to Cade because of this, you'll pay for it." Just then, a hand intervened. Cassius, one of Cade's right-hand men and a pyrokinetic. Cassius looked at me coldly. "Aloan, Isla has already said she didn't mean it. We understand you're anxious. Which one of us isn't worried about Cade? But you shouldn't take it out on Isla." "That's right, Aloan. Isla meant well. Isla just arrived. It's normal she doesn't know our base's rules yet. I know some superpowered individuals in the base look down on ordinary people, considering them nothing but burdens to the empowered. Even as the base commander's fiancé, they don't give me any respect. Too, they're only polite to me on a daily basis out of consideration for Cade. Now that Isla has appeared, they've naturally sided with her." My heart turned cold, overwhelmed by deep disappointment, but I didn't want to make things difficult for Cade because of me. I pursed my lips and took a step back, while Isla smoothed out the clothes I had crumpled, her gaze filled with undisguised provocation. At that moment, the door to the emergency room opened. Although Cade's injuries were severe, a wood-type ability user had already helped heal his wounds on the way, and after receiving hospital treatment, he was out of danger. Cade lay weakly on the hospital bed, completely unlike his usual vibrant self. He forced a slightly aggrieved smile. "Honey, my shoulder hurts so much." I didn't speak, keeping my head down to avoid looking at him. With difficulty, he raised his hand to tug at my sleeve. "Aloan, why are you upset?" I looked up at him. "Cade, you promised me you'd come back alive every time." Cade chuckled wryly. "Didn't I make it back alive?" My eyes turned red. "This time was different. You were so badly injured. You almost died. Do you know that? Before, the worst you ever got were minor scrapes. Nothing like this." Cade took my hand. "I was really careless this time. It's my fault for making you worry." No, you never make me worry, have you forgotten? But because of Isla, you gave it your all, nearly dying under the claws of the zombies. This is something I didn't say out loud. When the words reached my lips, my heart was almost filled with despair. Each word felt like 1,000 pounds, and I simply couldn't utter them. Aloan, I haven't forgotten. I really won't do this again next time, really. I instinctively don't believe it, and I dare not believe it, in every story. The male and female leads will inevitably traverse mountains and seas to find each other. Despite countless twists and turns, they'll recognize one another in a vast crowd, growing old together through life and death's promises. They won't be an exception, right? But his leading lady isn't me. When the apocalypse first came, as an ordinary person I could barely survive. It was Kate who kept holding my hand and brought me this far. I knew the gap between us was growing wider. So I worked hard to fulfill my own responsibilities. He often told me that ordinary people suffer too much in the apocalypse. He wanted to give them a sanctuary. This was the divine purpose behind granting superpowers to a select few, which led to the creation of the Blackbird base. He said the Blackbird emerged from the apocalypse, representing vitality and hope, destined to restore a brand new world for humanity. Standing shoulder to shoulder with him, my blood boiling with passion, I secretly resolved to accompany him in realizing his ideals and ambitions, but he was never meant to be mine. We walked hand in hand through the hardest years, and now the time has come to part ways. I didn't realize when my face had become streaked with tears, nor did I bother to wipe them away. Kate had just undergone surgery and hadn't fully recovered yet, so in the end, I couldn't bring myself to say the words of separation. I could only numb myself with work. The zombies within dozens of miles have been cleared out. I started organizing ordinary people to reclaim wasteland for farming, raising poultry and livestock, gradually becoming self-sufficient. When the base was first built, ordinary people could only live in tents, but now the situation has improved somewhat. I led people in building houses and constructing shelters, trying to ensure everyone could live a bit better. Meanwhile, I continued to take in more survivors to live at the base, which is steadily growing stronger. However, things weren't as simple as I had imagined. After Kate got injured, Deputy Leader Thaddeus started leading the supply runs, but during their second mission, Thaddeus died. He was torn apart by zombies. We couldn't even recover his remains. Thaddeus was the person who had been with Kate the longest. He had a mother and a wife at home, both of whom were ordinary people. After receiving the news of Thaddeus's death, I proposed allocating some supplies to compensate his family and suggested arranging a light-duty job for his wife at the base. However, I didn't expect my request to be rejected, and the one who rejected me was Isla. Isla said to me with a smile, "Aloan, after all these years of helping Cade manage the base, you should understand the principle of living within our means. Our brothers risk their lives for these limited supplies, if you want to give them away as favors. The brothers won't be happy." Human decency. Thaddeus was Cade's sworn brother who sacrificed his life. If the base doesn't provide for his family, wouldn't that chill everyone's hearts? Aloan, I've already sent people to deliver supplies to Vice Captain Thaddeus's family, enough to last them a while. As for your suggestion about arranging lighter work, his wife is just an ordinary housewife. What kind of job could we possibly assign her? Surely we can't give her a management position. Isla's words carried hidden meaning. I knew she was making veiled criticisms, subtly targeting me. Suppressing my anger, I argued on principle. Thaddeus was a founding member and meritorious contributor to our base. Since he sacrificed himself for the base, we should treat his family well. Cassius jumped out. Aloan, now that Captain Isla is in charge of resource allocation, are you questioning Captain Isla's authority? Now that Isla has become the captain and oversees resource distribution, her approval is required for any resource requests. To my shock, I realized that the majority of the base's superhumans had already sided with Isla, while Thaddeus, who was most loyal to Cade, had died. My throat went dry, as if gripped by an invisible hand or with a dangling icicle swaying above my head, leaving only a chilling cold down my spine. Cade was never good at power struggles, and with him recently injured and me busy with base construction, I completely missed Isla's underhanded maneuvers. Cade had been sidelined without anyone noticing when it happened. Isla's face showed blatant provocation, even thick with disdain and mockery. A wave of helplessness trapped me. For the first time, I felt completely immobilized. At that moment, a male voice sounded outside the door. "I've approved Thaddeus's relief supplies." I turned my head. It was Cade. Cade. Everyone stood up. Cade gave me a deep look, filled with both helplessness and apology, then turned to the others and said, "The base doesn't need to provide these supplies. Deduct them from my personal contribution instead." Cade, after all these years together, how could I not know what he's thinking? He doesn't want to embarrass me, but he also needs to save face for Isla. It suddenly occurred to me that back then, there were only about 10 of us, with Cade as our team leader. There was a female superhuman who looked down on me as an ordinary person. trying to kick me out of the team, even attempting to climb into Cade's bed one night. Without hesitation, Cade expelled her from the superpower team in front of everyone, and from then on, no one dared to disrespect me. But now, he started treating everyone equally. The grievance and frustration felt like a slap to my face, leaving me utterly humiliated. I ignored Cade and walked out of the room alone. I walked back alone slowly, tears dried by the night breeze only to fall again. Footsteps sounded behind me as Cade wrapped his arms around me from behind. He rested his head on my shoulder and said in a low voice, "I'm sorry, Aloan, Thaddeus is dead, and I'm grieving too. I'll go with you tomorrow to visit his mother and his lover." I broke free from his embrace and turned to look at him. "Cade, in your eyes, do ordinary people have no value in this apocalyptic world? Have you forgotten what our original purpose was when we built this base, Aloan? Is this really how you see me in your heart?" I regretted my words immediately. We've been through thick and thin together for 10 years. How could I not understand the hardships in his heart? But no matter how radiant or dazzling the mystical bird in his heart may be, how could it possibly anchor this increasingly decaying apocalypse? I took a deep breath and whispered softly, "Cade, let's break up." He grabbed my hand tightly, his voice trembling. "What did you say? Say it again." I tried to keep my tone light. "Cade, you've seen it too. I'm no longer right for you. Isla is the one who suits you best." Cade sneered. "What do you mean? Am I some object? Are you just handing me over? Aloan, you're truly ridiculous. Cade is such a proud person. I know I shouldn't be like this. But what can I do?" The turmoil among the base's top brass has left Cade's position as precarious as a castle in the air. If things continue like this base will eventually be destroyed by those high and mighty superhumans. How could I bear to see Cade's hard work fall apart? I should let go and allow Cade to return to the plot, becoming the radiant and invincible king of the apocalypse from the novel. Yet I don't want to see the day when the person I've loved for 10 years forgets me, all our little moments. All our shared past will eventually cease to exist. I don't want to become that paper-thin character living only in his memories from the novel. I'm unwilling, reluctant, yet helpless. Aloan, you know what? I don't know what's happening either. Whenever Isla appears, there's a voice in my head urging me to get closer to her, and I can't remember many things from the past. At first I thought it might be because my powers altered my body. But now I wonder, could we all be controlled by some mysterious force, including this apocalyptic world? In that instant, I was utterly stunned. Cade truly lived up to being the destined male lead. He had actually glimpsed a sliver of heavenly secrets through sheer intuition. He gripped my shoulders, his gaze resolute. "Aloan, after the apocalypse, I stopped believing in fate. As long as I refuse, no one can tear us apart." Perhaps it was the overwhelming conviction he radiated, or maybe, like him, I refused to be toyed with by destiny either way. I found myself nodding almost involuntarily. Cade recovered quickly and soon resumed leading missions. I specifically kept an eye on Isla, but she didn't make any new moves either. Everything was as usual, yet for some reason, I couldn't shake off a feeling that a storm was brewing. One late night not long after, a piercing scream shattered the silent air, jolting me awake from my dreams. Cade and I hastily threw on our clothes and went out, only to find out that a girl had jumped from a building. I was shocked, and Cade was no less stunned than I was. By the time we ran downstairs, a crowd had already gathered. The victim was a young girl, an ordinary person, lying naked on the hard ground with blood everywhere. Someone had covered her with a bedsheet, for I knew exactly what had happened the moment I saw it, and I was burning with rage. I pointed angrily at the crowd and roared, "Who did this? Which bastard did this?" As the base grew stronger, the status of superhumans also rose continuously, and some superhumans began to have a constant stream of women around them. It's not uncommon in the base for superhumans to keep several women or indulge in debauchery. I've long known about these things, but ordinary people struggle in the apocalypse, and women have it even harder. Seeking protection from superhumans to survive is a helpless reality. Cade also strongly disapproved, but found it difficult to intervene. As long as it's consensual, the base turns a blind eye to such matters, but there's one absolute ironclad rule: no coercion allowed. Yet coercive incidents still occurred. The perpetrator is a metal element superhuman named Blaze who just arrived at the base this year. No one expected him to commit such a heinous act. What infuriates me even more is that this person appears completely indifferent, showing no remorse for his evil deeds, acting as if nothing happened, even when Cade and I arrived. He was still joking around with people nearby. The moment Cade appeared, the crowd immediately fell silent. His eyes were as cold as ice, like the undercurrent before a storm. "Have you forgotten the rules of the base?" Blaze gave a hollow smile. "Cade, this woman came with me willingly. She accidentally fell from upstairs." "You're lying. My sister was forced by you. If she refused, you threatened to kill me. You drove my sister to her death." The speaker was a frail young boy, Shouting hysterically with tears streaming down his face. He must be the victim's younger brother. At this moment, Cassius stepped forward. Cade, Blaze is under my command. Do me this favor. Besides, it wasn't intentional. I guarantee it won't happen again. I instinctively glanced at the crowd and sure enough, Isla stood in the shadows, watching the spectacle with amusement. As soon as Cassius finished speaking, Cade's right hand suddenly became wreathed in lightning, and a powerful bolt instantly struck Blaze. In an instant, he was reduced to ashes. Cade enunciated each word deliberately. Anyone who dares repeat this mistake will meet the same fate. After saying that, he turned and left. The moment Cade departed, I keenly noticed the venomous resentment in Cassius's eyes. That girl's name is Lucia, and her younger brother is called Alec. After helping him handle Lucia's funeral arrangements, I sent him some supplies. Alec asked me, Miss Aloan, do you think there's still a way for ordinary people like us to survive in this apocalyptic world? If it were before, I would have told him a definite answer without hesitation, but now, I find myself at a loss for words. Cade dealt with Blaze fairly, which wasn't wrong in itself. However, it provoked dissatisfaction among the supernaturals led by Cassius, breeding resentment towards Cade. Though Cade possesses formidable supernatural powers that make zombies flee in terror, no zombie is as terrifying as the wickedness in human hearts. Just as I was feeling somewhat discouraged, Isla suddenly came to find me. She was alone on the rooftop, with long hair and a white dress, smiling boldly. I guess you probably already know everything. My heart tightened. What do you mean? She raised her right hand, wearing an ancient-looking ring on her finger. The so-called supernatural ability of Isla was merely because she accidentally obtained a summer space. The space could not only store items, but the spiritual spring within it could also rapidly enhance supernatural abilities. It was precisely by using the space's spiritual spring that Isla managed to rapidly expand her influence in the base within a short time. This is Isla's greatest advantage as the female lead, and also her biggest trump card. Now that she has revealed her trump card to me, the underlying meaning is self-evident. Only I can make the base grow stronger. The woman standing by Cade's side must inevitably be a strong person like me, not a hypocritical white lotus like you. Looking at the undisguised ambition on Isla's face, I said, so you've been buying people's support everywhere, sidelining Cade. You want to force me out this way and then pressure Cade into submission. The incident with Lucia was also your doing, wasn't it? So what if it's me? Do you think just because Cade sided with you once, he'll do it again? Who gave you the audacity? Is it because of your rebirth? It's just a pity that even though you've been reborn, you're still just an ordinary person. Do you really think you can rely on men for the rest of your life? I was so shocked it felt like a thunderbolt had struck me out of nowhere. No wonder Isla told me everything. It turns out she already knew my trump card. The shock left my mind blank, unable to utter a single word. It was me who gave her the confidence. What can you do about it? Cade appeared behind me at some point, walking over in a few steps to stand shoulder to shoulder with me. Isla sneered. Cade, don't you understand yet? You and I are the male and female leads of this world. Only by standing together can we reach the pinnacle of this world. Cade smiled at me and grasped my hand. I don't believe in so-called heavenly principles, nor in fate. Since Aloan has fought with all her might to be with me, why should I betray her? Moreover, she's the one I've always loved. Since she's been reborn, it means we've already missed one lifetime. In this life, I won't let go. 5. By the time Cade finished speaking, I was already in tears, sobbing uncontrollably. How could I bear to leave such a wonderful Cade? How could I possibly leave? Almost instantly, dark clouds gathered and churned above the rooftop, with faint flashes of lightning flickering within. The air pressure dropped terrifyingly low, as if brewing a massive storm. Panic flashed across Isla's face as she shouted sharply, Cade, have you gone mad? Pointing at the surging dark clouds, she yelled, do you see that? If you defy the heavens, the will of heaven will destroy you, your base. Your ideals, all of it will cease to exist. Are you really willing to abandon everything for Aloan? I hesitated. Cade, is what she's saying true? Cade laughed. You can be reborn, yet you think I can't defy the heavenly Tao. Isla burst into mad laughter. Oh Cade, don't deceive yourself. Put away your love-struck fantasies. You're no match for the heavenly Tao. At that moment, a tribulation lightning bolt as thick as a bull appeared above Cade's head, carrying an unmistakable warning. Gathering his supernatural power, Cade fearlessly confronted the tribulation lightning. At the very moment the two bolts of lightning met, the tribulation thunder dissipated, but Cade collapsed unconscious. Cade wasn't dead, he had merely fallen into a coma. Perhaps even heaven couldn't bear to destroy this world's male lead, but my joy was short-lived, for I noticed a sickly gray pallor spreading across Cade's face. As someone who's lived through the apocalypse for years, I know all too well what's happening here. Cade has been infected with zombie poison. If left unchecked, he'll completely turn into a zombie. Isla also noticed the changes in Cade. She immediately pulled out a jade vial and poured the spirit spring water into Cade's mouth. Moments later, Cade's complexion returned to normal. Isla looked at me disdainfully. See, this is the punishment for defying the heavens. Only I can save him. You love him so much. Could you bear to watch him turn from heaven's favored child into a disgusting, hideous zombie? My entire body turned cold as fear enveloped me once more. Yes, if Cade became a zombie, it would probably be worse than killing him outright. Cade doesn't believe in fate, but I don't dare gamble, nor can I bear to let him take that risk. I took a deep breath. Fine, I promise you, I'll leave, but I have one condition. Otherwise, I might as well become a zombie with Cade. After I leave, you must treat the ordinary people in the base well. Don't let the superhumans destroy this place. You'd better keep your word. I reached out and brushed my fingers over Cade's brows. His breathing had steadied, and the pallor of death had vanished from his face, as if it was just an illusion moments ago. This is probably the last time I'll see him. I understand the conviction in his heart, but lack the courage to defy fate alongside him. I'm sorry, Cade. Goodbye. I left the base that very day while Cade was still asleep. There's actually something I never told Cade. A month ago, my mentor reached out to me. He had already set up a laboratory at the X Research Institute in the capital and invited me to help develop the serum. I was hesitant before, but now, I find myself with no better place to go. Perhaps it's for the best. I used to devote myself entirely to assisting Cade, but now it's time for me to go where I truly belong. After arriving at the Research Institute, the workload became extremely heavy. I practically lived in the laboratory. Our mentor led us in working day and night for 3 years, and we finally made some breakthroughs in developing a serum for the zombie virus. This achievement caught the attention of the high-ranking officials at the capital base, so our mentor took a few of us there to present our research findings. The conference venue was set at the medical university in the capital base. After finishing my presentation, I walked out of the meeting room, and a young boy approached me. Alohan, Alec, long time no see. Back when I left the Xianyao base, Alec somehow found out I was leaving and stubbornly followed me out. After his sister's death, he awakened Woodbay's supernatural abilities. Fortunately, he had these abilities, which allowed both of us to reach our destination safely despite the dangers along the way. But since he was still young, his mentor recommended him to study at the medical university in the capital base. Alec and I hadn't seen each other for a long time, and he excitedly told me about his studies at the university. We went to the base cafeteria. It wasn't mealtime, so there weren't many people. We chatted while eating, and out of the corner of my eye, I unintentionally caught sight of a familiar figure, Isla. After I left, I immersed myself in work, trying not to dwell on the past with Cade, but occasionally, I still received some news about the Xianyao base. Isla finally got her wish and became the deputy leader of the base. Over the years, the Xianyao base has grown into a well-known large-scale base. It is said that Isla has also established connections with the capital base, and the two bases frequently collaborate. So it's not surprising to see her here. However, seeing Isla inevitably reminds me of Cade. The base has been developing well these years, so he must be doing quite all right. After finishing the meal, Alec went back to school, and I bought some things at the store downstairs from the restaurant. As I pushed the door open to leave, I saw Cade. He was standing by the roadside across from the store, holding a cup of coffee in his hand. For 3 years, I've imagined countless scenarios of meeting him again, but I never thought it would be in such an utterly ordinary setting. His appearance remained unchanged, yet more composed. Perhaps my gaze lingered on him for several seconds, which made him notice me keenly. He looked at me puzzled. Do we know each other? A familiar bitterness welled up in my heart. Sure enough, after I left, Cade began moving forward without looking back, just as the plot dictated. He must have completely forgotten about me by now, suppressing the surging emotions. I shook my head. You've mistaken me for someone else. After a moment's thought, he added, I've seen you before. Aren't you Professor Corbin's student? I read about your research in the paper. Your work is truly remarkable. I lowered my head and smiled. Thank you. Then I heard myself saying as if possessed, there's a lecture tomorrow evening where Professor Corbin will share some of our research findings. You're welcome to come if you're interested. His eyes lit up. Great. I'll definitely be there. At the celebration banquet the next day, Cade indeed showed up, standing at the side of the podium. I glanced at the audience and immediately spotted Cade. He sat there listening with rapt attention. Standing in the darkness, I gazed at him greedily, not absorbing a single word of the lecture. When I first left the base, I couldn't stop thinking about him. Later, as work grew busier, I thought time had faded everything. Meeting again, I found my longing for him had only grown stronger, but now I hardly even have a chance to exchange a word with him. 6. With my thoughts in turmoil, I decided to step out for some fresh air. The lecture was held in a hotel. Just as I reached the shadowy corner downstairs, I saw Isla walking arm in arm with a young man, chatting and laughing as they entered the elevator. The two were behaving intimately, clearly indicating their special relationship. I've seen that man before. He's the son of a high-ranking official in the capital base, wielding considerable power there. But isn't Isla the female lead? Since I left, didn't the male and female leads end up together? I was so focused on watching Isla that I didn't notice the steps underfoot, losing my balance and nearly falling. A strong arm pulled me back, and the next second, I was enveloped by a familiar scent. Be careful, it was Cade. I steadied myself in the panic. Thank you. The lecture was brilliant. I learned so much, especially the research on viral serums. It's exactly what's urgently needed now. Yes, the reason we're sharing these results with everyone this time is because they'll soon be implemented across all bases. That's wonderful. You should come visit our base when you have the chance. Cade told me many things about the base, and I listened very attentively. But there was always one lingering doubt in my mind. It seems Isla isn't with Cade. So does Cade still count as the male lead in this world, or does it mean that regardless of whether they're together or not, he'll still forget about me? My mind is in complete chaos. What on earth is going on? Do you live here? Only then did I realize we had unknowingly arrived at the medical university's entrance. Sorry for making you walk me back. I really enjoyed talking with you, Cade said with burning intensity in his eyes. I think we must have known each other before. I actually got nervous and couldn't utter a single word. I'll probably stay at the capital base for a few more days. We could grab a meal together if you're free. I was hesitating when someone walked up through the gate, alone. It was Alec. His eyes widened in surprise when he saw Cade. Fortunately, Cade didn't notice Alec's strange behavior and politely took his leave. I had thought that my encounter with Cade was just a coincidence. But I never expected that 2 days later something would happen at the base. That day, just as we finished our final presentation and were about to leave, the power suddenly went out, plunging everything into darkness. Suddenly, a scream rang out, followed by the growls of zombies from the lecture hall. Oh no, zombies have infiltrated the base. Everyone was running toward the main entrance. Just as I stood up, someone grabbed me forcefully. Take the emergency exit. It was Cade's voice. He pulled me toward the emergency exit. The place was deserted, lit only by a dim emergency light. What exactly happened? Do you know? A zombie in one of the labs suddenly mutated. It used to be a psychic ability user, and even after turning into a zombie, its powers remained. It used its psychic abilities to summon zombies from within a 100-mile radius, forming a zombie horde. Zombie horde. Hearing those words, I instinctively shuddered. I suddenly had this illusion, as if I'd returned to the day I died in my past life. Inside a shopping mall building, with Cade holding my hand as we ran, it was the same kind of zombie horde in the end that tore me apart. How eerily similar today is to that day in my past life. Fear gripped me as I halted my steps. No, I must go back for the professor. Don't go back. It's dangerous. No, I must go back. Alone. Be good. I froze. Every time we had a disagreement before, he would say this in that tone. Cade, you haven't forgotten me, right? Cade's body stiffened. He lowered his eyelids and whispered softly, "That's not true. No, you're lying to me. Every time you lie, you can't even look me in the eye." After several seconds, I finally heard Cade say quietly, "Why bring up these things? They're all in the past." Isla said that as long as you follow destiny, you'll definitely forget about me. A terrifying conjecture arose in my heart, and my intuition told me it was true. Isla wasn't with Cade, which means Cade was the one lying. I frantically grabbed his hand. It was cold as ice. With trembling hands, I reached toward his chest. Yes, there. I can't feel the heartbeat. 7. You've turned into a zombie. Cade forced a bitter smile. You found out after all. Why are you so foolish? You were meant to stand at the pinnacle of the world. Why did you choose this hardest path? I finally broke down and burst into tears. I thought I could contend with the heavens. But I still failed. Aloan, I'm sorry, but I never forgot you. At that moment, the shrill howls of zombies echoed through the air, rising and falling, unsettling everyone's nerves. Cade's expression suddenly changed, and he teleported away from the emergency passage. By the time I ran outside, a blizzard had begun at some unknown moment, quickly covering the base in a vast white world of snow. The square was empty, with Cade and that psychic-powered zombie standing in a stalemate midair. Isla appeared behind me at some point. Are you satisfied now? I turned to look at her. You knew all along. Why didn't you save him? I wanted to save him, but he refused me. Cade is the biggest fool in the world. He said he didn't want to be controlled by fate, and he especially didn't want to forget you. He'd rather become a zombie than forget you. Tell me, isn't he stupid? Isla started cursing wildly until she exhausted herself, then knelt panting in the snow. I finally understood Isla's space can only keep upgrading after the male and female leads get together and trigger the subsequent key plot points. After I left the base, Cade refused to become the male lead arranged by fate, and absolutely refused to be with Isla. Thus, Isla's spiritual spring space could not be upgraded. Its energy gradually weakened, while Cade was punished by the heavenly Tao, turning into a zombie. The protagonist's auras weakened, and the world's energy was barely sustaining itself. At that moment, Cade suddenly let out a tremendous roar. A massive wave of energy surged forth, overwhelming like a tide. Even the psychic zombie couldn't withstand the attack and turned to dust. Isla's face filled with terror. "No. He's going to self-destruct," I shouted. "Cade, come back." But Cade could no longer hear me. His entire body erupted into a massive energy sphere, so blindingly bright I could barely keep my eyes open. At the same moment, the ring in Isla's hand suddenly flew away from her and merged with Cade's energy sphere. Isla screamed. My ring, waves of energy relentlessly washed over the land layer after layer, for 3 full days and nights, reducing every zombie in their path to dust. Then, silence fell. The apocalypse ended abruptly. In a manner no one could have anticipated, but my Cade, he's never coming back. My dark bird, you have finally fallen in this apocalyptic era. The snow has finally stopped, and a warm breeze brushes past my ears. Like his breath, unnoticed, a layer of grass sprouts emerged from the ground, fresh and tender green, growing freely. A silver glint flashed before my eyes. I parted the grass to find a hexagram necklace lying there quietly. It was the one Cade gave me back then, which I returned to him when I left. Percent. Clutching the necklace in my hand, tears fell like rain. Percent. A dull ache spread through my entire being, never to heal again. Story 2. The weather this year has gotten colder day by day. At first, people simply thought it was winter setting in, but when spring arrived in March and April the following year, the cold weather lingered unexpectedly. News reports began announcing the approach of a harsh, cold apocalypse. Roads were frozen over, and most businesses had shut down. At that time, my mother, with my brother's family in tow, knocked on my door. Having just put my daughter to bed, I heard a fierce knocking. I wrapped myself in a coat and went to the door. Peering through the peephole, I saw it was my mother and my brother's family. As soon as I opened the door, before I could even ask anything, my mother, pulling my nephew by the hand, barged in. This house is a bit small, but it's nice in every other way. Bernie, Ruby, come in and get warm," she called out. My sister-in-law came in leaning on my brother, who was carrying 2 boxes. With a bang, he carelessly dropped the stiff boxes on the floor. I noticed there were 2 boxes of popsicles. "Sis, we really had no choice but to come today," my brother said, starting to cry. "I gambled before the new year, lost a lot of money, and now loan sharks have taken over our house. Now with this apocalyptic freeze, it's not just that we're broke, we couldn't even rent a place if we had money. These 2 boxes of popsicles are for you and Sally. Please, let us stay over this winter, or we'll surely freeze to death." It seemed my reluctance was too apparent, and my sister-in-law pushed my nephew closer to me. "Sis, Burton's just a little boy, hasn't even started school, hasn't had a chance to see the world. Can you really bear to turn us away?" I wasn't necessarily moved by these words, but my mother, standing aside, began to cry and affectionately stroked Burton's hair. I must admit, the adults were quite the actors, but Burton, who sneakily rolled his eyes at me, undoubtedly revealed their ulterior motives. Observing this united front they presented, my thoughts drifted. My brother owns an ice cream factory. It's a highly profitable business. Operating just half the year was enough for them to live lavishly for a year or two. With the icy apocalypse, they should have been comfortable with their savings, but my brother's family always lived extravagantly. Either they were traveling or buying heaps of useless luxury items, and now, my middle-aged brother had gotten into gambling. With the advent of this freezing apocalypse, his ice cream factory had already shut down due to the weather. It seemed their household had been running at a loss for months. Now, they probably didn't have any savings left. I remember a couple of years ago, my husband was seriously ill and needed surgery. When I was desperate for help, I turned to my brother's family. I was so helpless I knelt before them, yet even though they had the money, they refused to lend me any. When I went back a few days later, I found a new Ferrari in their villa's garage. From that moment, I walked away and cut off all contact with them. My husband passed away due to his illness a year ago. Both my daughter and I were deeply affected. Despite knowing this, they hadn't shown any concern for us throughout the year. Thinking of all this, my heart felt as cold as ice. "Sis, where will we sleep tonight? You have no idea how tough the roads outside are. We are utterly exhausted. Maybe you could help us arrange the beds for tonight." My brother nonchalantly sprawled himself on the sofa, bossing me around as if he was directing a servant. His wife, cradling their son, picked up the fruit I had just washed from the table and began eating. In this weather, fruit is incredibly hard to come by. I had to shamelessly ask my neighbor to sell me half a bunch of grapes for a hefty sum, even trading in half a pound of pork belly, all to ensure my daughter got her vitamins. They ate without any sense of burden. Burton even spat out a grape after trying one that my mom had peeled for him. "It's so sour, disgusting, I don't want to eat this." I was so furious I couldn't take it anymore and decided it was time to ask them to leave. "Please go." My house is too small. There's no room for you here. I only have 2 bedrooms, one of which is a tiny single room where my daughter sleeps. I thought this would deter them, but my sister-in-law quickly stepped towards the guest bedroom and opened the door. It's okay, we're not greedy. The 4 of us can stay in this small room. Are you too lazy to tidy up for us? No worries, Mom and I can do it. It's alright if we get a bit tired. Her words made it seem as though I was at fault. I was about to say something when my daughter, who had been napping in the guest room, was woken up by the noise. Her footsteps grew louder as she approached. Holding her doll and rubbing her eyes, she came out. Mommy, what's happening? Uncle, Auntie, Grandma, why are you here? Seeing Burton, my daughter visibly tensed up. In the past, when the relationship between our families was still intact, and we visited during the holidays, this cousin would often bully her. As expected, trouble started immediately. Burton, seeing the doll in my daughter's hands, rushed forward and snatched it away. I want the toy, give it to me. My daughter looked scared, but the toy was a gift from her dad, so she bravely confronted Burton. This is mine, my dad bought it for me. You can't just take my things. Are you a robber? My daughter tried to snatch it back, and the 2 kids started arguing loudly, almost coming to blows. I pulled my daughter into my arms, unable to bear seeing her upset, and helped her retrieve the doll. Burton threw a fit. He lay down on the ground and started to wail, his cries nearly deafening. My mother, who always doted on her precious grandson, quickly picked him up to comfort him. Then she turned and scolded my daughter and me harshly. Can't you teach your daughter to be accommodating to younger kids? Since it's like this, I should definitely stay to help discipline this little brat. She has no manners at all. Your husband died early. I think you just spoil her too much. I managed a forced smile. Oh, should I be thanking you then? My mother didn't catch the sarcasm in my voice. She sat on the sofa, legs crossed arrogantly, her nostrils flaring as if she was superior. And Burton, held in her arms, was the spitting image of her arrogance. You don't need to thank me. After all, I am her maternal grandmother. This is what I should be doing. Now that we are staying at your place and using your resources, I won't even charge you for my teaching services. And you should know, I used to work at a daycare. A month's salary can be several thousand. You really got a bargain this time. I held my forehead and sighed. Not a single one in this family is normal, especially now. During these unusual times, when calling to heaven gets no response, and calling to earth is useless, affected by the weather, not only do we frequently lose power, but the internet is also always lagging. I want to kick them out, but I don't know which power to turn to for help, or how to ask for it. Enough. Can you all stop making a fuss? I don't welcome you here. Even if you insist on staying, I won't share my supplies with you. Upon hearing this, my mother panicked. She stood up abruptly. She raised her hand, trembling as she pointed at me, unable to speak for a long time. Finally, with a tearful voice, she said, "Oh my, what an unfilial daughter I have raised." As she spoke, she sadly threw herself against the wall, intending to find death. There was a loud bang, not even as forceful as when she had knocked on my door. She was faking it. If she were really willing to die, she wouldn't have come to my house seeking refuge. But in her failed attempt, she twisted her ankle because of the sudden movement. Using that momentum, she sat down on the ground and started to throw a tantrum. At this point, my sister-in-law stepped forward to mediate. "Sis, look, Mom hurt her foot, and it's icy and snowy outside. It's not convenient for her to leave now. We're all family. At least let us stay a few days until Mom's foot heals. Then you can send us away." Right, I was about to refuse. But then I keenly noticed a small movement in the hands of my brother who stood behind the crowd. It seemed like he had a knife in his pocket, and now, his hand was already on the handle of the knife. I hugged my daughter tightly, somewhat afraid he might act impulsively. "All right, I agree." My brother's family immediately beamed with joy. However, I made a condition. If you're going to stay, then as the only man in the house, Bernie must be responsible for going out to purchase supplies. At first, they looked troubled, but when they heard I was paying, my brother quickly agreed. "No problem, sis, don't worry, I've got this." I thought to myself, a few more mouths to feed, out of sight, out of mind. Keeping my daughter and myself safe is what's most important, but ever since my brother's family moved in, my home has never had a peaceful day. They eat a lot and prefer rich, greasy foods, each meal. They consume nearly a week's worth of food for my daughter and me, since they are using my money. They don't hesitate when buying supplies. If there's fruit for sale, my brother doesn't hesitate to buy it on the way to the market. If my nephew wants a toy, he also tries to buy it expensively and bring it back. All these expenses are added to the grocery money I gave him. Soon, a large portion of my savings was spent by them. My mother is very biased towards my nephew and has been picking on my daughter these past few days. At the slightest inconvenience, Burton starts to fuss. Every time I speak up for my daughter, my mother gets furious with me. She and Burton lay on the ground, rolling around and crying, accusing me of being an unfilial daughter. Every evening, my sister-in-law flirts with my brother in the living room, with the TV volume turned up high. Somehow, they figured out that our TV had a karaoke mode, found 2 old microphones in a drawer, and occasionally burst into song. The problem is they always sing late at night, making so much noise that neither my daughter nor I can sleep. That night, my daughter couldn't sleep again. She poked my hand. "Mom, I need to go to the bathroom, due to chronic insomnia." I was quite frazzled. I tiredly responded without getting up to accompany her. When my daughter returned from the bathroom, she seemed off. She rushed into bed, frightened, and curled up in my arms. "Mom, I'm scared." By the moonlight, I could see her pale face. "What's wrong? Aren't your uncle and aunt outside? Are you afraid of the dark, Sally?" I held her close and gently soothed her as she fearfully glanced towards the doorway. Then, she wriggled a bit and whispered in my ear, "Mom, Uncle, and Aunt weren't singing at all. I heard them say." She couldn't finish her sentence. My drowsiness vanished in an instant, and I shook her anxiously. "What did they say?" She buried her face in my neck and whispered so softly. "They said they were going to extract our bank card PIN and the location of our supplies. And then they would kill both me and Mom." From my daughter's words, it was clear that my brother and his wife were not just having fun at night. They blared the music so loud every night just so we couldn't hear their real conversations. In fact, they were using the music to cover up their sinister plotting. My daughter's explanation was not very clear. I wasn't sure if she hadn't heard properly, or if she was too young to understand. But just these few words were enough to send chills down my spine. I had kindly taken in my brother's family and had never restricted them from doing as they pleased in my house, to this extent, and he still wouldn't spare me and my daughter. It's true what they say, a kind person is taken advantage of, a good horse is ridden hard. I knew I couldn't delay any longer. If they didn't die, it would be my daughter and me. On the day they planned to carry out their scheme, I also began to prepare. It had been several days since we had meat, and my brother kept complaining at the dinner table. "These days, it's tough to buy meat. It really sucks. Finally, when we see a few meat markets, they are all auctioning it off, and without enough money, you simply can't get any." Throughout his speech, his eyes kept darting towards me, as though he was hinting for me to give more money. He and my mother were truly mother and son. My mom immediately caught on to his hint, chiming in, "Sabrina, look at our poor Burton. He's gotten so skinny, his little face all pointed from hunger, eating vegetarian every day. How can he grow tall? He's only 6 years old, right in the crucial period of growth and development. If he misses this window, he won't grow tall later, and if he's teased by other kids at school, he's going to blame you, his aunt, for not stepping up." I glanced at Burton's chubby face. His arms and legs were thick, and although he was 2 years younger than my daughter, he looked at least thrice her weight. Wouldn't it be good for him to lose a bit of weight? If he doesn't slim down, he'll be at risk of obesity. Hearing that he might not grow tall, Burton, being teased, he immediately started to fuss. Bad auntie, I want to eat meat and grow tall. Bad auntie, kill the bad auntie." As soon as these words came out, the faces of my brother and sister-in-law turned noticeably pale. With quick reflexes, my sister-in-law covered Burton's mouth. She gave an awkward smile. "Haha, sister, kids don't know any better. Don't be mad at him. Kids say the darndest things." I, already aware of their plans, remained utterly unfazed. I glanced at my brother. "Today is the day they distribute food. You should go and try to get some. The news said there's meat available." Thinking he had manipulated the situation successfully, my brother reached out his hand asking for money. I didn't give him any. "Today it's a lottery system. Whatever you get depends on your luck. No money needed." My brother looked at me suspiciously, disbelief written all over his face. "Ah, really? You're not fooling me?" I nodded. "Of course, it's true. Aren't you always lucky? Go and take a chance." My brother was still doubtful, but just then, the sound of the neighbor across the hall closing their door could be heard. I kept my face expressionless but nodded slightly. People were already heading out. "If you don't go now, you might not even get a chance to draw a number. This could be your chance to turn your fate around." My words directly targeted my brother's gambling instincts. Sure enough, his face lit up with excitement. At that moment, Burton started fussing again. Daddy, I want to go outside and play. I want to go outside and play." He had been cooped up at home for too many days and couldn't sit still any longer. Yesterday, while he was playing with his toys by the window, I deliberately went over and pointed outside to the snowy landscape, telling him, I really miss the days when we could go out and have snowball fights and build snowmen as soon as it snowed. Now we can only stay indoors. It's so boring. In a few days, I should really take Sally out to play." He didn't react much at the time, but I saw his ears twitch. He definitely heard what I said. Sure enough, the next thing he blurted out was exactly what I had mentioned yesterday. "I want to build a snowman. I want to have a snowball fight. Don't bring the bad auntie and Sally. I want to go alone with Daddy." That certainly gave my brother a compelling reason to go out. He put down his utensils and began to gather his gear, ready to head out, as I went to the kitchen to serve the food. The three of them were reluctantly saying goodbye at the doorway. They stood in the hallway. My sister-in-law, wrapped in a thick down jacket, was adjusting the winter clothing for my brother and Burton. Because Burton was making noise, they didn't notice me slip into the kitchen. Honey, could this be a trick? I'm feeling a bit uneasy. My sister-in-law looked very worried. Her face was turning purple from the cold, and she was reluctant to go inside. In contrast, my brother was overly confident. We have only 2 pieces of winter clothing at home, one for adults and one for children. My son and I are wearing them, so the mother and daughter definitely can't run away. The weather is getting colder by the day, not like when we first arrived. Even wearing several layers of clothes would still be bearable. Without winter clothing, if they ran, they'd surely die. He comforted his shivering sister-in-law for a while, and only then did she reluctantly let go. He wasn't wrong. Staying out in the current temperature could indeed freeze someone to death. I looked out the window, watching him walk away, holding Burton's hand. I gave a cold laugh. There was no sympathy in my heart. This was the price they had to pay for their greed. After dinner, my brother still hadn't returned. As usual, my mother went to her room for a nap, after cleaning up the dishes. My sister-in-law and I sat in the living room watching TV, thinking about what I had to do later. My hands began to sweat with nervousness. My sister-in-law was engrossed in the show, so I got up, pretending to head to the bathroom casually. I washed my face to calm down, then pulled out the rolling pin I had hidden behind the toilet. Dropping my slippers into the bathtub, I tiptoed and crouched toward the head peeking out from the couch. I swung the rolling pin down hard on my sister-in-law's head. She was still absorbed in the TV program, completely unaware of the danger. Just when I thought I was about to succeed, a pair of hands grabbed me from behind. "Stop it. What do you think you're doing?" I didn't know when my mother had come out. She tightly grasped my waist and pulled me backward. The sister-in-law on the couch was startled and stood up quickly. What I had just attempted was obvious to all. She stood by my mother, and together they subdued me. My daughter, who I had arranged to stay in her room, heard the commotion and rushed out, seeing me pinned down. She ran over to try to help me, biting my mother's hand. "Let go of my mom." In pain, my mother kicked my daughter without hesitation. "You little troublemaker, even daring to bite your grandma. Is this how your mother taught you?" Sally, seeing my daughter knocked down and unconscious, tears streamed down my face. My mother and sister-in-law almost couldn't hold me down. As restless as ever, my mother pinched me fiercely, just like she used to when I was a child, when harsh. Even my sister-in-law seemed mild in comparison. Knowing that my brother wanted to kill me didn't hurt as much as this. Now that my own mother was treating me this way, it was truly disheartening. I couldn't help but question her. "Mom, my brother is your own flesh and blood, am I not?" My mother averted her gaze, refusing to look at me or respond. Seeing her cold demeanor, my heart sank. "Ruby, go get a chair." My mother held down my hand, signaling my sister-in-law to fetch a chair from the dining room. "This girl is always a bit clever. Don't let her escape. Get a chair to secure her until my son returns." I knew this might be my last chance. As soon as my sister-in-law walked away, I immediately started to struggle. "Let me go." My mother, being older, struggled to overpower me during the struggle. I stepped on the TV remote that had fallen on the floor. It seemed I hit the volume button, and the TV blared at maximum volume, deafeningly loud. My mother and sister-in-law probably wanted to use the noise to cover up the sound of my struggle, so they didn't intervene. Dragging her feet, my sister-in-law arrived late with a chair, once again joining forces with my mother to capture me just as I almost escaped. Out of nowhere, my mother produced a stack of hemp rope and tied me securely to the chair. Thinking of escaping. When have you ever escaped from the palm of my hand since you were born? After securing me, they weren't in a hurry to deal with me. They were waiting for my brother to return. My sister-in-law arrogantly picked up a rolling pin that had fallen to the side and tapped my face a couple of times. It wasn't very painful, but it was highly insulting, thinking of ambushing me. "Wait till my husband comes back, he'll avenge me." "You'd better explain yourself well then. You might get a quick death, otherwise brace yourself for severe torture. You'll suffer." By this time, it had been a while since my brother had left. He hadn't returned yet, and my mother was getting worried. Speaking of which, it's been several hours. Why has this boy been gone so long? She paced back and forth in front of me. It couldn't be that kid Burton playing around and refusing to come up, could it? Oh dear, this is worrisome, and this weather is no joke. It's a pity we didn't have any spare cold weather gear at home, otherwise, I guess she would have rushed out herself to bring my brother back. As time ticked by, she leaned close to the peephole, occasionally glancing outside, worried she might miss my brother's return. Seeing me securely tied and unable to resist, she then asked my sister-in-law to check the window to see if the father and son were playing below. I glanced at the time and let out a cold laugh. No need to look anymore. You won't see him returning. The two women, who had always treated my brother as the center of their world, turned around in panic and looked at me. "What do you mean?" Seeing their anxiety, a smile appeared on my face. "Did you really think today's meat distribution was free?" The two exchanged a frightened look. What else could it be? The neighbors across the street went too, didn't they? I shook my head. Fools. I've been their neighbor for a long time, and I know they have a habit of going out to shop once every 7 days. The color drained from their faces, and they turned away from me, discussing how to break the news to my brother. My mother pulled out her phone to make a call, but no one answered. What's going on? The signal was fine when we were watching TV just now. Why is it so bad now? She was still trying to deceive herself. There's no problem with the signal. The problem is with the people. I forgot to tell you, those 2 pieces of cold weather gear, you didn't store them properly. This morning I found 2 big holes in the back. I kindly patched them with tape, but I wonder, during their snowball fight, did the tape come off? Hearing my words, my sister-in-law panicked. She had helped her husband and child put on the cold weather gear, and if anything happened, she certainly bore some responsibility. Mom, I'll go out and find them. They might have already reached downstairs. I'll go and meet them. She quickly put on several layers of thick down jackets, but just as she opened the door, she screamed in shock and retreated back inside, peering over her figure. I stretched my neck to get a better look. My brother and his son Burton had frozen to death at the door. Their bodies were stiff, still in the position of kneeling and banging on the door. Their winter clothing had deflated due to leaks long ago. Clinging wetly and frozen to their bodies, the television had been turned up to the maximum volume. Even as the father and son broke the door from the outside, those inside couldn't hear a thing. Without the protection of their winter gear, the external temperature was so cold that even mobile phones wouldn't work. Before their deaths, they experienced the utmost despair, with no one to help them. Upon seeing this, my mother broke down completely, crying as she ran and knelt beside the bodies of my brother and nephew, my son, oh, my child. My sister-in-law's legs gave way, and she too knelt down. With a blank expression and glazed eyes, she muttered to herself, how could this happen? Watching their family's display of deep emotions, I suddenly felt the rope tied around my wrist stir. I looked back in surprise to see my daughter, who had woken up at some point, giving me a wink and signaling me to keep quiet. Don't be scared, Mom. Sally pretended to faint. Sally will save you. Taking advantage of their grief, which left them unable to attend to me, my daughter quickly grabbed scissors from the coffee table and started cutting the rope binding me. The rope was quite thick and it was hard for her to cut through. Watching her soft hair sway with her movements and the fine beads of sweat on her nose, I felt a lump in my throat and tears began to fall. Thankfully, I still had her. With a soft thud, the rope dropped to the ground, a sound faint yet startling to my daughter. She trembled nervously, pausing her actions. I quickly flexed my wrists and pulled her close, gently patting her back to calm her down. Meanwhile, my sister-in-law and mother continued to wail at the door, completely oblivious to the fact that I had been freed. Luckily, I hadn't put on any shoes, barefoot and braving the cold draft from the door. I walked over without hesitation and kicked them out of the house. As I watched their shocked faces, I mercilessly shut the door on them. My home doesn't welcome you. Please don't stay. The outside fell silent for just a few seconds. Then, a loud banging resonated as they pounded on the door. I followed their earlier tactic, turning the television volume up to the maximum, pretending not to hear their knocking and their pleas for mercy, or perhaps their curses. Later, my daughter sat obediently by my side, never doubting any of my decisions. Mom, they ruined the winter gear. How will we go out to gather supplies now? She shook her little arm, showing the red marks left from untying the ropes. I smiled gently and pulled her into my embrace. Silly child, look at the wall. Opposite the living room TV, there was an inconspicuous little switch, indistinguishable from the light switch next to it. Upon flipping it, a ladder descended from the ceiling, leading to the attic. The attic wasn't large. It was a space my husband had created himself, fearing any mishaps, and I had hidden a large amount of supplies there. I'd rather spend a bit more money to let my younger brother figure things out. I've never shown my full hand. My daughter and I climbed up to the attic. Inside, we found 3 adult-sized and 1 child-sized winter coats. Scratching her head, she looked puzzled. Mom, where did these come from? Weren't we only issued 1 set each? I smiled. Well, that brings us to my foolish and greedy brother. My husband was an only child, and his parents passed away early. After his death, all his property was transferred to my name. Smelling opportunity, my long out-of-touch brother and his family quickly showed up. These are the precious supplies the greedy one brought us. I remember it was just when the signs of a deadly cold snap were starting to appear. The official media hadn't reported it yet. Only some rumors online. A few days later, we each received 1 of these winter coats. Little did my brother care. He traded these essential survival items for a piece of land in my late husband's hometown. He never cared about such worthless things and naturally forgot all about it. My daughter, half understanding, nodded and uttered, "Oh." Just then, my phone pinged. It was a message from the neighbor. "Sabrina, is there someone at your door?" I heard a lot of noise. "Those 2 people at the door are really tough." They still hadn't given up. "Thanks for the heads up. I just checked, and I don't recognize them. By the way, just a friendly reminder, with the apocalypse upon us, humanity is deteriorating. There might be those who would harm their own for survival. Don't open your door to the mad dogs. They'll devour everything you have. this apocalypse has lasted an unprecedentedly long time. It wasn't until the spring of the following year, with food supplies nearly exhausted, that people finally saw the spring. It was somewhat better in the residential areas. In some villages, if not 9 out of 10 houses were empty, at least 5 were. Many people lay dead in the streets. Some were out shopping and met accidental deaths from the cold. Some couldn't bear the cruelty of the apocalypse and took their own lives. Others were the unfortunate homeless, abandoned by their families, most of them were girls, to clean the streets. There were people specifically assigned to clear the bodies. One day, the body cleaners knocked on my door. "Ma'am, we found 4 bodies at your doorstep. Do you know them? If so, we can cremate them and give you the ashes." I opened the door and looked at the 4 unrecognizable bodies outside, shaking my head. "I don't know them. They're probably homeless from somewhere." Such things were all too common in the apocalypse. The workers seemed all too accustomed to it. "Okay. We'll handle these ashes collectively. Lucky for you, you didn't open the door for them."